Hello and welcome to another episode of Evangelical Apologists Don't Know What They're Talking About, or Evangelicals Can't Back Up the Stuff They Say. I don't know. I haven't thought of a clever name for it, but it's part of an ongoing thing I've been thinking about lately. As much as the pre-suppers ask us, how do you know that? How do you know that? How do you justify knowledge? How do you justify your reasoning? There are times when one might think that the proof of the pudding is in the tasting. If you want to know that somebody can reason or can know things, take a look at how they reason and how they know things, right? You may ask somebody, for example, if they're good at math, and you might say, well, what's your foundation for mathematics? What's your justification for mathematics? Well, no, if you want to find out if they're good at it, give them some math problems and see how they do. These guys struggle with that. Those of you tuning in might be aware that for some reason today I watched a part of a Gman video. I didn't watch the whole thing. He was once again lifting his skirt for Matt Dillahunty. Please debate me. Seeming to ignore the fact that Matt Dillahunty has made quite clear the reasons why Matt has to some extent engaged Gman and the reasons why he's not going to bother. I mean, I thought Matt did a great job of saying, sort of as an illustration, like here's why we don't engage people like Gman, in part because you get the criticism that you're taking on the doofuses. You're not taking on actual knowledgeable, like people who are knowledgeable about the theology or knowledgeable about the Bible. Irony upon irony, Gman made this video that says, wow, Matt doesn't want to take on serious people. He only wants to take on the chumps, you know, and so, okay. So, and I like how in G-Man's mind that the chumps are the guys that Matt Dillahunty and others on the Atheist Experience will take calls from, are people like Matt Slick, who evidently, according to G-Man, knows nothing about the Bible or theology. Ray Comfort. Who else is Matt Dillahunty entertained? Regardless, yes. So G-Man, Mr. Oh, you don't let knowledgeable people engage in debate with you because you know you'd be trounced. Unreachable today. Unreachable from me. Unreachable any day, because I'm blocked. There's no need to go into G-Man's room and be polite and show him up for not knowing stuff about real world or about his own religion's theology, because he'll just block you. That's not what he's interested in having happen on his channel. So ironic there. So I've elected to use this time, and it'll be short. I fell asleep on the couch. I took a little nap. Today is Victoria Day in Canada, and I had the kids out for a while, and then I took a little snooze accidentally, and really did nothing to prepare for this profound, hard-hitting debate with G-Man, because I knew that as long as I woke up at like 4 minutes to 5 p.m., I'd be well enough prepared. Because even if he did show up, doesn't know what he's talking about. So let's cover the two claims that G-Man makes, which we can dismiss summarily. So G-Man often makes the claim, atheists are the least trusted people on the planet. Where did he hear that? I'm really curious about that. Where did he hear that? Well, the answer is, in my view, he heard it from some bullshit he heard from some other bullshit apologist, and has not lifted a finger to find out what that's based on, where this comes from. The second claim is that the Supreme Court, get out of here, the SCOTUS, the Supreme Court of the United States of America, has ruled that atheism is a religion. One moment. Yes, can I help you? Yeah. How long was I speaking while muted? So I just woke up from a nap. Yeah, no, we're going to go to the park. Sorry, where was I? We're dismissing G-Man's silly claims. So he says that Supreme Court of the United States of America has ruled that atheism is a religion, and which they have not done so. But I'm more curious about where Gman learned that, and of course it's yet another bullshit thing that you heard from some other bullshit purveyor and not fact checking. Gman kind of likes to spread that around himself. Come here. If you're gonna do that, then come up here and come here. Oh, you big. This cat is not a lap cat unless I'm trying to do something. Cats have a real knack for that, don't they? What was I saying now? Again, just woke up from a nap. Yeah, I think most of us, again, so by the way, the challenge to Gman here is not prove these things to be true, which would be great if he could, if that's his claim. But all it is just show, oh, this is the how low I'm setting the bar for Gman or any of these guys. Just prove that you got this information from somewhere other than one of your brother bullshit purveyors, right? Prove that you have an actual source for this. You heard this claim maybe from somebody who says a lot of dumb shit, and then you looked it up, then you checked it out, even a little bit, tiny bit. That's all I'm looking for. He will be unable to do that even if he showed up. So we can probably move past that. I think that the point I would seek to make here is that when Gman or any of these other guys say, oh, atheists are the least distrusted people, or least trusted people, or most distrusted people, whatever, or the Supreme Court ruled this or whatever, they're just getting it from each other. And the rest of us know, this is the weird thing about it, is that the people that they're saying this to, like when I hear that from these guys, I know what they're referring to. And I'm sure most of the people who would watch this know what they're referring to, right? There are some lies they do, cut from whole cloth. It's just, but most of them, it's sort of like, oh, okay, yeah, this does come from somewhere. They're Supreme Court, yeah. So there have been Supreme Court, not just, there's one very famous case, but there's, let me just add him in here. Hi, Adam. Sorry, just let me continue with my rant here for a little bit, and there's one clip I want to show, and then I might entertain some brief discussion. How are you doing tonight, Adam?
I'm doing very well. I did not mean to interrupt. Please continue.
Oh, that's all right. Yeah. Well, as long as someone here came here to take the defense up for Gman, I know you're on his side. I said, Gman, he's at the library all the time. You're in here to tell me, Gman, that
do what?
He's constantly take up the defense of Gman. You're like, don't pick on him. He's at the library all the time. Like, okay, let me finish my rant. I'm just bugging you that. So yeah, these guys hear these things. The Supreme Court ruled this, or what was the other one? The other bullshit thing. They're saying, oh, atheists are the least trusted people, and a study done by the Pew Center. So we know the sources for these things, but those of us who've looked into it also realize that's not actually what they say. And in any case, what should we take away from that? So Pew, for example, does some research that says amongst, radical religious people, they tend to not trust atheists. Well, does that mean that atheists are not trusted in that view? Is that to say that atheists are not trustworthy, which is how Gman pitches it, to say, well, there's a reason why you guys are the least trusted. That's not what Pew came up with. They didn't determine that atheists are the least trustworthy. They said that amongst a subset, and Gman couldn't tell you which subset this is, they're the least trusted. And as far as I'm concerned, that is yet another example of the bad judgment, the inability to make good decisions amongst the radical religious evangelicals in the United States. Because here you've got atheists who are no less trustworthy than anybody else, and you ask them, well, who don't you trust? And they're like, oh, the atheists, right? Because they don't base who they trust on anything that's grounded in reality, right? They base it on their own little, community-based, recycled bullshit. Same thing with the Supreme Court. That was my point there too. There are Supreme Court matters. They've ruled on these things, but you're not going to find the Supreme Court ruling that atheism is a religion, right? I think most people who've looked into it know that. And again, so what? So now the Supreme Court tells us, what things are in terms of this is a religion or not a religion. I don't really care. So anyway. Easy to defeat Gman. You just have to invite him to say, hey, why don't you back up your claim? And it doesn't happen. So, Adam, I do have a clip I got to show. It's about 3 minutes, but I'm just wondering if you. I want to give you as much chance as I can to talk because I am going to pull the plug on this hangout pretty quick. It's beautiful weather here. What's on your mind, Adam?
Not a whole lot. I find when it comes to particularly specialized areas, and since my expertise is either in law or science, those are the ones I can speak on. The media does a terrible job. Any sort of scientific finding that's covered in the media is going to be misrepresented. Any sort of legal decision covered in the media, likewise, is going to be misrepresented. So you should never. And I'm certain from everything I've read, the same is true for survey results as well. So the bottom line is, if you think you're getting your facts and all you're doing is reading a newspaper or a blog article and not going back to the source, probably what you think is true is wrong. That's what it comes down to.
I like that. And actually, I got to ask you, I've heard you mention the law on a couple of occasions. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to ask you a couple of questions. I welcome you to use the side chat if I ask a question that's sort of a little out of bounds. I want you to take care to not drop yourself or just not talk about something that you're not comfortable having broadcast. I guess let me ask you with the generality too, and then you can sort of go loose and say what you're comfortable talking about. I'm wondering aloud whether or not you wish to answer it or not, whether or not, like, if you had, for example, attended a law school or if you'd been called to bar. I'm using my real name on here. I think my identity is pretty well established. I'm Adam Pugh. I graduated from Stanford Law School and was admitted to the Ohio bar in 2007. You can find me very easily on the web. I'm a practicing attorney. Okay, we're not doing commercials here for your little ambulance chasing business. Okay,
that's fine. I'm a patent attorney. Nobody in the audience probably.
Name again is Adam Pugh.
I work primarily for big tech companies. So.
You're okay.
I'm a patent attorney.
Douchebag corporate lawyer. What? You're what? Sorry.
Attorney.
Oh, patent. Okay, I thought you said douchebag.
Intellectual property attorney. Yeah. So.
Oh man, that is both an incredibly difficult and boring area of law.
Very much so, but difficult. I'll agree with. I love it. I recognize most people find it boring.
Yeah.
I can't even get like members of my own family to listen to my job because everybody else finds it boring. I find it amazingly interesting. I guess that's why I do it.
Yeah. And everybody has that area where when you get into an area, you're sort of interested. I'd referred on a previous hangout. I referred to real estate law as being the most boring area of law, and that didn't stop me in a later hangout to sit there for probably 10 to 15 minutes just pontificating about the role of the lees pendens in terms of having a nice balance for people to be able to sort of get their say and to stop further damage, to mitigate damage when they have a claim against the title and whatnot.
I assume that came up due to Kent Hovind?
It did. Okay. It was one of those things where someone had asked me to explain how it's contemptuous to file these motions, and then further how it escalates to mail fraud. And I had two thoughts. One was, I'd love to explain that. And the second thought was, I should probably keep this brief. The first thought went straight to the front of my brain, and the other one just disappeared because I don't know how to explain the lease pendant system, like why it is we kind of have this self-serve land title raping system. And yet it's a good idea. I don't mean to criticize it. But yeah, I did sort of wander into it, and I kept saying, but I mean, actually, one of the people in the hangout started making snoring noises during during the explanation. So whatever. Not to venture into that thing here, but no, I don't know. There's lots of areas of law that are sort of exciting and whatnot, and then there's, DPR Jones, by the way, I don't know if you know, he's some sort of intellectual property lawyer. He was called to bar a number of years ago, but he's what the heck does he do? I'm one of these people that occasionally you'll catch me in conversation mixing up patent, trademark, and copyright because it's all one sort of big blob of rights, and
Sure.
And yet if you're talking to somebody in IP law, they'll be like, "What's wrong with you?"
Yeah, they're very
my
different.
8-year-old son knows the difference between trademark and copyright. Like, what the hell?
Yeah, they're not the legal basis for them. It doesn't even come from the same, part of the law.
Huh.
Trademark is all about consumer protection, whereas copyright and patent are constitutional rights that have a certain basis. But yeah, let's not get into the boring details.
I like that. It's almost interesting. You know, I tell you what is exciting here, because I've seen some names go by in the comments section. You know, and I don't get a chance to meet sort of a regular cast of characters. And now this Gus fellow has sort of been popping up in a couple of hangouts, and I've seen some people say some favorable things. I'm hesitant to say your last name, although it's displayed for everybody. It's not, because I'm not trying to doc drop you. I'm trying to determine if you are a Belanger or a Belanger.
Belanger.
It is Belanger.
Yeah.
No, no accent. You don't put the accent.
No. I find well, partially because my Anglo heritage is stronger than my Franco heritage, because my mother is actually American. But part of it also is just because I find that if I don't expect any sort of inflection out of anybody, I don't get disappointed.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, even in terms of how it's written, I mean, for example, would your father put the accent over the E, or?
No, it's written without any sort of punctuatory accents whatsoever in the first place.
Oh, it's for even a number of generations. Oh, okay.
It's just Belanger. If you want to francisize it, which, like I said, I don't. Pleased to meet you, by the way.
Oh, it is nice to meet you. Most Belangers that I know do include the accent in their name.
Are you Canadian?
Oh, certainly. Why would I not be?
Whereabouts? Or do you feel comfortable saying whereabouts?
Most people. I try to be too specific, but most people know that I'm in Edmonton now.
I'm in Ottawa.
In Ottawa. Oh, okay.
Yeah, Ottawa.
Yeah. I lived in. Most people know I've done a bit of a lap. I can't say specifically for some of the years because it easily doc drops me. But I was from northern Alberta initially, and then of course had to go to cities to go to school, because I went to one of those places that you didn't go to school if you want an actual education. But I went to I was in SEO, right, Kingston for a number of years, and the heat, I didn't like the heat, and I ended up moving back to Alberta, but I'm back in Edmonton now. But yeah, I was in Ottawa quite a bit. Ottawa and Toronto, I had a lot of meetings and presentations and stuff to do. Ottawa, that big triangle, the big triangle of cities I hate: Ottawa, Toronto, and Montreal.
Ah, yes, not quite the Golden Triangle, but a triangle nonetheless. Although certainly of the three, I'm told that Toronto is the. I'm told that Montreal is the most easygoing.
They're nice folks. They're nice folks. The problem I have is, and we'll get us back on topic here as quickly as we can, but the problem I have is that where I grew up, like I could literally, where my parents sort of had the last house in the last subdivision on the edge of town, so I could cross the street one way, cross the street the other way, and I was in a stand of trees. If you walked 100 feet through those trees, you were gone. There were no street lights, no power lines, nothing. And the next town over was 10 kilometers away. Like you never said, oh, I'm going to walk to so-and-so's house. You just didn't do that. Like if they were in the same town, you could. And if you look at the highways in Alberta, there's sort of like a spider web of roads coming out of Edmonton and then out of Calgary. And then along these little trails, you've got town. But each town, I mean, those towns are 20, 30 kilometers apart. And then when you go to Ottawa, it's like, or Toronto, it's like, you're in Toronto, and then and I'm going to get the order of the towns wrong. I don't need you guys to write to me when I fuck this up. But it's like you're at a traffic light, and then as soon as you cross the traffic light, well, now you're in Whitby. And then there's another traffic light, now you're in Ajax. Yeah. Like it's so many cities, and they're just packed in like this. Yeah. And I remember having a brief bit of anxiety one night in Montreal, being in a hotel and looking out the window and seeing that the city was so big it was over the horizon, and recognizing that like literally, like I've never had that experience before, where like if I wanted to not be in the city, I could just get out and walk, right? But you can't do that. Like Montreal is so big that if you started walking, you literally by the next day would still be in the city. And I just for some reason got terrible anxiety over that stuff. I know the Americans must absolutely be laughing, because any of the folks who've been to New York City, for example, the Los Angeles is like, I look at Los Angeles on Google Earth and I need to lay down, because it's just anxiety. Like, why do you need that many buildings that close together? Holy crap!
I don't think you'll find most of us Americans would be laughing because quite a few of us don't live in those cities. We live in places that are more like what you described.
That's true. That's true. I sometimes forget that you guys have cornfields and long straight highways, just like we do
Sure
here.
do. I mean, I live in the Midwest. I live in Ohio. So I very much. I mean, it's I can go 1 block over from the little suburban subdivision I live in, and I'm out in a cornfield, and another 3 blocks over, and I'm at a county park set aside for horse jumping.
Oh, neat.
So I mean, it's not. I mean, it's not hard if you take a little effort and maybe spend another 10 or 20 grand on your house to be somewhere real very much out of the city in this area.
Yeah. No, that's nice. I wonder if I should drag us back to topics. Again, there's a little bit of a video clip on the show. Gus, did you have anything you wanted to add to where we are so far? Or?
No, I'm good. I'm good. Please carry on.
Yeah, so why do I keep saying your name lately? And maybe to let you know, I'm not sure how much of my material you've seen, but I do try to kind of keep my finger on the pulse of what's going on. But my current job, I recently had a career change, and I just leave the city and I'm gone for a couple of days. Like actually, just last week, I was in a place. I had to go through this field, and I was standing beside a dead buffalo. Like it was literally, I was in a place in Alberta. You just, oh shit. This buffalo, and not even recently. Like this was like a pile of sun-bleached bones. But I was in a place where you could like, oh look, there's a buffalo that died, and just sun got to him. So I don't know why I keep seeing your name in comments because what have you been doing? I understand you had a chat with Gman that was interesting.
A chat. That's an interesting way to put it. A chat. Yeah.
I've seen only 1 minute and 30 seconds of that chat, so I don't know what happened.
My chat with Gman is basically went the same way everybody's chats with Gman go, and I don't think that you seem to be a fellow with some experience in these sort of things. So I think when I say that my chat with Gman went the same way most people's chats with Gman go, I think you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah. For good or bad. You just got to have the right spirit, yeah.
So, it turned into a zoo, like any chat with Gman will. And that's, as far as, I'm relatively new to Hangouts. About 6 weeks ago, I sort of discovered how to get in. I was kind of like the kid who discovers the world of Tron. I'd been watching from the outside for a long, long time. For years and years, actually, I'd been watching. And eventually, I figured out how to actually talk to somebody, that I'd been watching on YouTube. And the first person who I inflicted myself on has been Nadia. And she's been kind enough to put up with me ever since. So, but yeah, I am relatively new, and part of what I decided when I came to this hangout was I wanted to take on precepts. I wanted them. My hands itched to squeeze them.
It's a fetish.
This is
He's a precept fetishist.
That's right. I loves me them precepts. Love them.
It's so wild. It's so wild.
You're not the only one. I wanted to talk to more presuppositionalists, even back when I didn't really know how to deal with it. I was still like, this is new. What are they really on about? Because it sounds like bullshit. But maybe there's got to be something more. There's got to be something more.
One of the biggest advantages to presuppositional apologetics is that everybody who hears that is not inclined to agree knows in the back of their lizard brain that there is something wrong with this argument. Even if they cannot articulate exactly what it is, they know they're being fed a line of fucking candy sprinkled bullshit, and they know it, and they just, part of what agitates people, I think, so much is that it takes so long to figure out the secret formula for dealing with precepts. And once you figure out whatever your secret formula, because there isn't just one, there's multiple ways to skin this cat, and once you figure it out, I can't speak for J.D. Kane, although I've seen the look on his face a number of times when he's taken on precepts in his hangouts. The look that comes on your face is, let me at them. Like, give them to me. You know what I mean? So it's...
Every time, like, Arcane snuck in, I could not get people to stop talking because they're like, I want him first. Let me get him first.
That's right. That's right.
It's lining up. I'm like, all right, you first, then you, then you, then you, then you. Then finally, Arcane can respond with some nonsense, and then we'll all start over again.
It's because presuppositionalism is so easy to defeat that it's just like, oh, if I debate against a presupper, I'm gonna sound so smart.
It is fun. It is fun, though. It's a bit of a punching bag element. That's actually why I kind of switched to this Hangouts format, too, where if you're going to talk to somebody, bring them in one-on-one, and then if you want to sit around and BS, then sure, invite other people in. But they have the complaint. They have the complaint that, yep, oh yeah, go ahead. They have the complaint that, that one that I don't know if you've seen the one on Stizor's channel when, and I was working that day, and then Arcane was just going cuckoo in the comment section. Hold on a sec.
Kids, you gotta love them, eh?
Yeah, I got 3 of them now, and yeah, they're just in and out, like, hey, I want some ice cream. Can I have some ice cream? Daddy.
Mine are pretty good. I will certainly complain about them, but like I've seen some really, really awful kids, and these are they're not really awful. They just have to, they're enthusiastic. They like doing stuff. We did the Magic Sandwich Show yesterday, and they managed to stay reasonably well behaved for a couple of hours. But you try to bracket it. Like we go out and do something fun outside for a while, and then I might do a hangout. But then we're actually headed out here shortly to go to the park again. So
it's good.
So,
you should bring your kids on. We should ask your kids how they know what they know.
That's right.
They're absolutely sure about anything.
Let's ask for the epistemology of children. I bet you it'll be twice as capacitous as any precept.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. So I noticed the main topic is Gman. I literally just finished watching Evidence for You, I think his name is. He took Nadia, the chunk where Gman was in Nadia's hangout, and just posted. I just finished watching that hour and a half. Gus, you have a wonderful way with words. Keep that up. Well done on getting blocked within 15 minutes of like your first, maybe second talk with Gman.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like how Gman's all you guys with your cameras off won't dare to do it. I was like, well, all the people who keep their cameras on, you blocked. Alex keeps on, I keep mine on.
Well, let's talk about the blocking. Let's talk about the blocking for a second. Yeah, that's a funny. I mean, I mentioned it sort of in opening this hangout. I sort of mentioned the thing about the blocking and ironically how. So I should clarify too. We should put a link in the comment section, and I'll add it to the video description about this thing that happened between Gus Belanger and Gman, and that was apparently. So I clicked on the link and I was like 8 hours, no thank you, and I closed it. And then what's his name? Evidence. Is it Evidence for You or?
Yeah, Evidence for You.
Yeah, let's link his thing in there because apparently it's only an hour and a half, and I opened it, and then I immediately got called away. And like I say, I watched. I didn't get to a full 2 minutes of the portion where Gus and Gman were talking, so I have that file set aside, so I'll watch it later. But that's probably bearable. I can probably listen to that sort of a thing. So I appreciate when people do that or send me timestamps or something because I'm not going through an 8-hour hangout. But the blocking thing, so I mentioned at the start of this that Gman is really concerned that Matt Dillahunty sort of blocks people. He doesn't want the intelligent Christians to come on, and he only lets people like the dopey callers that go, oh, if your body's powered by electricity, then how come you don't die in the shower? Like that's an actual
just who calls in, right? I mean, you can't control who calls in. The people who really advocate for like fundamentalist evangelicalism, they know better than to come in and let Dillahunty point out. Because I mean, once you've been at this a while, you know where to stick the needle. It's like being a really good acupuncturist. You know exactly where the nerve is, right where the root canal is, if you really want to hit them the hardest. And as someone, I mean, obviously I think I'm right, but also I do sometimes you want to score points on a discussion. And so I'll be like, okay, I know this is one thing they can't answer. So who bought Potter's Field? And suddenly it's like, okay, I know I can't answer this. I'm not even going to go on the show and risk it. I will happily talk to my flock. It's only when you start going down the lower end of the gene pool that you start seeing people dumb enough to call in like, let me ask this question I think is amazing, like Trey Jadlow's argument. I think it's amazingly put forth, and then they get slaughtered, and then they blame Dillahunty for it. Like, no, you should have known better. You know that he's got he was a preacher or he was a fundamentalist for 25 years. He's the person you really don't want to talk to on this. He's got all the information ahead of time.
Well, there's that phenomenon of take the colors as they come, and most people know too. That's been a long-standing criticism of the Magic Sandwich Show as well. That like, oh, you got all these dummies. Well, no, we were just talking about it yesterday. About we've sent invitations to William Lane Craig, and you know, we'd happy to have him on. You know, treat him respectfully, have a good conversation with him. But have you ever seen the standards? Like, if anybody who has a discussion, if he agrees to have a discussion with them, the standards that he has for what that conversation is going to be like about the moderator and the times and the subject, just, you know, what brand of water bottle has got to be there. Like, I mean, he's just, and if you don't follow those things, then forget it. He's just not going to show up at your thing.
No brown M&Ms allowed.
No brown. Yes, yeah, it's a great reference. Yeah.
Okay.
But no, so I mean, Dillahunty's had to come. I mean, he doesn't just do the atheist experience, right? He comes out, he does debates. You know, he traveled to go do the thing with Bruggencate, who I guess another person that I guess Gman thinks doesn't know anything about Christian theology. If Gman thinks that the only people that Matt deals with are numpties, but no, I mean, Matt Dillahunty takes on a wide variety. Talk amongst yourselves.
Off you go.
Oh fuck! I hope they're okay.
Like most kids, they're durable, thankfully.
Luckily so.
Yeah, at least that's what I'd say to myself whenever I hear they're crying. Like, oh, they're fine, they're fine. I'm not gonna find like, you know, a bloody stump or anything. It's gonna be something minor.
I did enjoy debating with Gman when the debate was.
Don't call it debating. It never rises to that level. Conversations. Obviously, I have conversations.
I enjoyed playing punch for punch with Gman when it was moderated, and he couldn't just stand there swinging his fists around in circles.
I like your what you said about that he puts up flack. I can imagine like World War II firing.
It's like I don't know if you're a fan. I don't know if you're a fan of the Battlestar Galactica remade version. I don't know if you.
I saw it. Yeah.
Okay.
I wasn't a fan of
when the Galactica comes under attack, right? It's got two modes of defense. The first thing it does is it launches its Vipers, and the second thing it does is it essentially points all of its guns at the rough direction of the enemy, and says, "Just shoot." Right? And it fires these proximity-fused explosive rounds, and it puts up a wall of flak. And of course, you see one of the greatest admonitions ever delivered by one character to another in a show is, for God's sake, stay out of the Galactica's firing solution, right? So, and this is what G-Man does. He uses his voice, his body language, to essentially do the adult equivalent of sticking his fingers in his ears and going, la 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 la, I hear you, but I can't, I'm not listening to you, la 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 la. And he surrounds himself with an impenetrable wall of sound and gesture that you can't do anything with. And
there's a problem I have with the analogy to Battlestar Galactica, because those guns could actually hurt you. I think G-Man, more like a ninja. It's more like a ninja throwing a smoke bomb at his feet and then just letting it fill the room, or throwing a canister of gas and just filling the room. It just annoys you and it makes it impossible to see what the hell's going on.
It doesn't necessarily have to hurt you to be able to blunt the force of your attacks. And that's the thing. G-Man knows. G-Man, he's, even though he doesn't have enough, even though if brains were dynamite, that guy couldn't blow his nose. He has enough intelligence that he can figure out when you're going to be able to overtake him. Like, I don't know if you remember, one of the things that I asked him, and it may seem a bit strange, was I asked him, G-Man, what's in the book of Titus? And he couldn't answer me.
No, he doesn't. He's not a big reader of the Bible. He's got a few things memorized.
Exactly, Hogtie, precisely. He's got about 500 of the most important words of the Bible memorized, just enough to preach Christ crucified and risen on Sunday. That's all. Yeah. And anything else, he has no use for. So
could he even tell you like the gist of Titus?
Yeah. He could. And that's why, like, you'll hear him complain, like, well, why don't you do what the other atheists do? Why don't you ask me what the other atheists ask me about? Why don't you ask me about the flood or about
because
this
they're
or
here.
About that? Which is his way of saying, why don't you hit me where I'm prepared? But from my point of view, like, he was angry at me because I called him uneducated. He was angry at me because I called him uneducated. Now, I called him uneducated primarily for reasons that had nothing to do with the Bible. But I took a swing at his theology as well. And at the end of the day, I called him uneducated in that respect because I had a hunch that if I asked him what was in the Book of Titus, he wouldn't be able to tell me what was in the Book of Titus. Now, between you guys, me, and the fence post, I don't know what the hell's in the Book of Titus either. You know, like I have no idea what's in the Book of Titus. As a matter of fact, until yesterday,
I could not shell it for you. That's the funny thing about it, is he doesn't.
And yesterday, until yesterday, I couldn't even tell you if the Book of Titus was in the Old or the New Testament. That's how little I knew about the Book of Titus. But I also knew that he didn't know what was in the Book of Titus either. I took the gamble, I took the shot, and I knew he wouldn't be able to, and that's exactly what he did. And then eventually he said, "Well, if you want, I'll read you the Book of Titus." And I went, "Wow."
That's
I just saw that bit. Oh,
yeah, oh boy, it's really tough for me. I don't want to go into the no true Scotsman fallacy, but it is honestly difficult for me to declare any of these clown car gang members to legitimately be Christians when they really have such a poor grasp of the Bible.
Yeah, they're not, and I've stopped referring to them as Christians for some time, and in part because of the confusion when you say, well, this is what we're getting from the Christians, and the Christians that we're getting the crazy stuff from this small set of people, but the label Christians attaches to a very, very large set of people. So it's the including too many in the label when you mean to talk about this one little group. Sort of the first reason I did it, and the other reason was because it actually sort of gives them too much credit to say that they're followers of Christ, because they're not. They're book worshippers, and that's easy to demonstrate with them in conversation. If you can take a Catholic or a Mormon or anybody else that identifies with a denomination, and ask them these questions that I would ask, and they're going to test out as a Christian. But if you take one of these radical evangelicals and you ask them these questions, they cannot help themselves. They will always evidence themselves as a book worshipper. It's really easy to do, but it only seems to work for the radical evangelicals.
What do you mean?
From what I understand, Gman's moved off the no true Scotsman fallacy and has in fact moved on to the no true Canadian fallacy.
Yeah.
Oh, what's this now?
Well, one of his
I'll
opening
let Gus
statements.
tell you.
Yeah, thanks, Steve. One of his opening statements was that as far as he was concerned, I was American anyway, because there's an American Union. Did you know there's an American Union? And just like there's an Asian Union and an African Union and a European Union. Well, he got that one right. And a Caribbean Union. He said there was a Caribbean Union. And he said that as far as he was concerned, since Canada was a know-nothing, do-nothing nation, that we might as well be Americans anyway. And so therefore we were Americans. Also, there was an American Union. Like you guys know that he tends to argue points by vomiting thoughts all over you.
Yeah,
and that's
yeah.
And
what's
then
the point of that? Like, I mean, does he? Okay, well, I wonder, does he believe it to be true, or is it just some stupid shit that he wanted to say just to ink cloud the conversation and avoid something that he just didn't want to address?
I guess it's the latter.
That's a good 35% of his modus operandi, right?
Yeah.
Just word ink at the.
I think it's a confusion tactic, though I've never actually talked to Gman myself. I've talked to people very similar to Gman, and usually they're more conspiracy theorists, but they'll just start throwing tons of claims at you, and they try to confuse you. They use sort of tricky words, and if that makes sense, they word their sentences carefully such that they're trying to make you stumble on your own words, trying to make you say something that you don't mean to say, or they just throw so much at you that you're confused, or you don't even know what to attack, that it's just, you just made a bunch of baseless claims. I don't know what I'm supposed to do.
Yeah, I just recently had that with a new guy on the scene named James Powers.
I see you've been studying him as an opponent.
He's fun. He was a little. I'll admit. I mean, he brags about how he annoys atheists, and I was for a brief second I was a little annoyed because I wasn't getting anything to really talk. What I usually do when I get into a text discussion with someone is I'll pick and choose what to respond to. Like, I'll ignore the stuff where there's really nothing being said, like the preaching part, And Yahweh is X, Y, and Z, and He loves you, and you need to repent. I'll leave that alone and stick with stuff that actually there's some basis for that I can, say, all right, well, I can see where you're coming from with this, and he would refuse to go there. All he would do is repeatedly assert his position over and over and over again. He still hasn't really said much of anything that I could debunk. So it was the only one chance I had was I said, "Go ahead and talk about evolution," and I bet you $1 million you're going to get it wrong. You want to get the definition right. Lo and behold, not only did he get it wrong, he got it heroically wrong.
I think he claimed in that comment section that was satire.
Yeah.
Epic black.
I meant to do that.
It was like 100-line copy-paste he had set up, and it was awful. It was just he'd used it before. It's not satire. This is like his position, and it's just so wrong. It's comical.
Is this the evolution equals Satan-inspired, desperate, mindless, godless, that thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm sure in his response to Deep Ashtray, he was claiming it was satire, unless I misread it.
I would think he'd be more frustrating to Adam here, who actually is a Christian, and it's gotta suck when people make it look so stupid.
Yeah, well, I'm used to it.
He did. I cannot deny he did frustrate me when I was in a hangout with him the other day, mainly because him and some other chap were just hogging the conversation. I think about.
We're talking about someone else now, or
yeah.
Okay.
No, James. Screw you. Someone tried to chip in, and they got talked over, and I sort of said, "Oh, I think Ramona's trying to say something," and James said, "It's just a quick one," and then he went on and said what he was saying, and then the other person who was talking started talking, and then James started talking, and I'm kind of like, "Excuse me, Ramona wanted to get, I'll just be quick, just a quick word," and then he went on for ages, and then it was kind of like.
Are you sure it's the same person? Because the guy I was talking to says he never does hangouts, so I wasn't sure.
Oh, is it?
Might be different. You might be thinking of Jimmy Stevens. He does tend to talk.
Oh, Jimmy the Mustache. Oh, I loves me some Jimmy the Mustache.
That might be
No, I don't think he had a mustache.
I drove. Well, his icon has a mustache, so I call him Jimmy the Stash.
Oh, I wonder if I'm confusing with
But
somebody else.
I sent him crying from the hangout, from one of Nadia's hangouts one time. So he was, I can't talk to you people anymore, and off he went, And then I had to listen to a lecture from Nadia about how I had to be gentle and charitable, and
she runs those hangouts with an iron fist, rules with an iron fist.
Yeah, iron fist. Yeah.
Anyway, there are some comments about this America, or, American Union thing, or Canada's part of the U.S. or whatever, and I missed it. I did see some comments about in my feed go by about is Canada part of America, and there's that confusion because yes, we're in the Americas, we're part of North America. We have trade agreements, by the way, just in case anyone's curious.
Oh, of course, we have lots of trade agreements.
Where was this discussion? Where did this happen? Was it in that hour-and-a-half thing that we can find on Evidence's channel?
No, there was.
It's another one. Oh my God.
Well,
send me the link.
Well, here's what happened. Gman tried to come in, and one of the participants in the existing hangout, I think, had him blocked. So there was a rigmarole that was involved, and then we finally got him unblocked. And then he showed up, and after a while, we got really into it, and then he decided to put me on ignore. Now, so once that happened,
cool.
in order to, and of course, I've said this openly and I've said it publicly. Nadia at that point simply should have said, you know what, you don't put people on ignore in my hangout. You're not welcome here until you come correct. But Nadia simply will not take that position ever. She simply will not. Even though she has an enormous block list, she will not take that position, generally speaking, by and large. So, what we ended up having to do was you all had to pick up, start a new fucking hangout. Pardon my French. So, we had to start a new hangout, and it was a giant annoyance. And then what I call the second chapter, what you got to see, the stuff that you only saw a minute and some odd seconds of, that's what I call chapter 2. Okay. Chapter 3 occurred later on in that same hour, in that same chunk that you're talking about. Chapter 3 occurred when there's a point in that video clip where I have to switch headphones because the one that I'm actually wearing, the battery dies. Unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on how you want to think about it, as soon as I did that, everybody else said, well, hey, let us ask Gman a question, which to me sounded like a whole bunch of guns going click-clack a bunch of times while I was doing, So it was essentially like Night of the Long Knives, and that's unfortunately when everything became unhinged. And then Gman showed once again that he had no regard whatsoever for anybody's rules but his own, because he put Sean G on ignore, and he put Star Chaser on ignore. So now Star Chaser and Sean G are talking, He's talking. Everybody else is talking. It's a friggin' zoo. Nadia won't do anything about it. And that's when I lost my temper and I quit. And so there was a point past which I paid no attention. You know, Jackie showed up and for a brief period of time was able to make a number of good points, but essentially, you know, it just turned into it just turned into another P-fest. And then not only that, but I also had to endure more rebuking about how I should be more charitable to Gman. And you know, that just I just don't work that way. I give you what you give me, and that's how that works. And and if you know,
you just said Sean G's name 3 times and he appeared.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
That was awfully weird. Literally, it was second after. I mean, people viewing didn't see, but he appeared on our film strip within seconds of that mention. Let me say something first about the. Hangout rules. This is one of G-Man's axes to grind, is the, you know, when you're in someone else's Hangouts, you follow their rules. You know, you're violating, and I've heard him say things like, you're violating Google's rules if you don't, you know, follow the host rules, that little thing you have to sign. And even once he even said, you're breaking the law if you don't follow their rules. And yet somehow he's exempted from that. He will go into anybody else's Hangout, and I have no patience for him. Like, I just, you know, he does shit like that. Like, and I don't like blocking people, but yeah, when they're showing to be having a little spaz fit and they're not being a grown-up, then they need to go. That thing about ignoring is completely unacceptable. It's such a destructive thing. I mean, it's vandalism. You're just destroying this other person's Hangout. And he does it. And the thing is, you do something in his Hangout, you don't get warnings for stuff, right? You know, I think the last time I was in one, people remember was, you know, I said the thing about how, well, he was clearly supporting the content of this other guy doing some doc dropping or something, and he's like, that's a lie. You better prove it. You better screen share proof right now. You've got 10 seconds. 1, 2, 3, and he talked through the whole 10 seconds that I had, and then threw me out, and he's blocked me ever since, and I've seen it as a bit of a relief, actually, because I don't have to deal with his nonsense. But like say I watched a few minutes of one of his videos today, and then watched this feed go by about the nonsense about America or Canada or whatever that was, and it's so funny. So oh, Sean G, I know who this is. This is the guy with the Johnny 5 logo. Who's let me give you a minute to sort of introduce or reintroduce yourself. I think you've been in Johnny KYJ Hangouts or something that I've seen you in.
Johnny KYJ.
Yes. Yeah, he's my favorite. He's my favorite theist at the moment.
Is he for real?
Yeah, he's got to be.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, your dulcet tones are coming through, man.
He's super nice to me, and I found him kind of fascinating at first because of how crazy he was. But I try to frequent in the G-Man Hangouts as much as I can, because his memory is as long as, you know, a couple days, and he always forgets that I've been in there to. I don't know why I like doing it. I like taking him to task on things, but he always forgets.
Sean, I want to ask you a question, and it's about, because you're in the U.S., right?
Yes.
I'm wondering, I'm not sure how much you are in American foreign policy, but I'm wondering, in your view, is it acceptable for Americans, gotcha.
No, we prefer the stabbing in the neck in the dark alley. That's how we do it.
Oh man, that was such a funny moment.
You know, I was watching it when I was watching him. I was kind of sad because I knew something burning that hot was going to burn out pretty quick, and sure enough, he's just kind of a past. I was like, damn, Johnny, he just hit it too hard. I mean, he just came at it, and I've tried to describe his method of argumentation, and it sounds kind of like would it be bad to say it sounds Muslimly?
Yeah,
like,
oh yeah.
Well, he is a Muslim, so that's not really surprising.
I just called it machine gun bullshit.
Yeah.
When he first made that noise, I honestly thought my computer was glitching out.
It was so funny.
I'm like, what what's gone wrong now?
And I was talking to I'm sorry, I didn't get a chance to talk to him. I exchanged some comments with him, but then Run Gabagai Run was in a hangout. I'm embarrassed to forget this other channel now. I just discovered these guys. They do this hangout, this sort of like This Week in crazy Christian thing, whatever it is. I should find it and put up a link in there. These guys should get a lot of views. They're so funny. Him and his friend, they're just so naturally comedic. And I was, I'll listen to a lot of these podcasts, when I'm driving or on headphones or whatever, and like literally laughing to the point where your sides are sore. This was so funny. But he was talking about that moment, and I've gone back and since listened to it, the whole thing about, Americans, is it okay that gotcha. And he's like, is that okay? Is that okay? And Ren Gav was like, I don't even know what that means. Like, and he was just so calm when he said it. It was like a straight man. It was so funny.
He's also made claims about, he makes a good rant about storming into schools with his creationist doctrine and how security would restrain him if he tried to do that. It's.
I think security would restrain anybody storming into a school, I would hope.
Speaking of incredible funny, has anyone else seen Jim Gardner's bit on Trey Jadlow?
Oh my God!
Twice. I
thought I was gonna mess my trousers. I'm telling you right now.
I watched it like 4 times already. I just keep listening to it. I love it. If I wasn't here right now, I'd be listening to it again. It's so funny. Jim, if you're watching this, you're gonna watch it later. Man, that is the best thing I'll see for months. This is killing
Thanks
me.
and praises for that, man. Oh.
I want to nod to a couple of the guys.
I'm glad Trey was a good sport about it. That was nice.
Yeah, I was just about to say that. There's a couple of guys I want to nod to that when something like that happens, okay, it's fun. I mean, this is for fun, right? Like, people aren't losing limbs over the silly discussion we have on the internet here. Trey Jadlow and the other name, I had it in my head and it slipped my mind. Someone else has got a good sense of humor. Tommy Hall. Once in a while,
by the hand.
If you were Tommy Hall, you'd have to have a good sense of humor.
I call him Tommy. I call him Tommy. Take me by the hand. When he was a little boy, he took all of his natural obtuseness and he went to see the ancient dwarves and said, "Make me a suit of armor out of this obtuseness." And that's why when you put a point to him, no, I'm serious. That's why when you don't die. That's why when you tell him a point. You can spend 3 or 4 minutes on him, and then every now and then you just watch him clear his RAM buffer, right? Like, that's he scrunches up his face, and you'll spend 10 minutes talking to him, and then all of a sudden he'll scrunch up his face, and his eyes will go to the top left or right hand side of the screen, and then when they come back down again, you'll see stack dump in his eyes, and he'll be like, "Oh, I don't even understand what you were talking about. What were you talking about there?" And that's usually the point where you have to practice saying, "And that's when I killed him, Your Honor."
Yes.
And that's usually what happens at that point.
He gives you a new prompt. Like after the buffer clear, there's a new command prompt.
Yes, it's a little like cursor right there between his eyes.
Yeah, he'll say, "Well, I don't think that's true. I mean, I don't think that," and he'll argue with you. He'll argue with you, and then when you say, "No, like this was demonstrated here and here and this and this and this," you finally get it laid out. He'll go, "Okay."
Just like that, yes.
Just
like that. Yes. He will scrunch up his face and point his eyes either up and to the left or up to the right, and that's when you know you've just. That's when you know you've just flushed 15 minutes of your life down the crapper, and he wonders why I call him names. Like, it's just this craziness.
Yeah, but did you see? He took a run at Blue as Blue is.
Gosh.
Man, that was funny. The whole thing about being in his house with the trousers he hasn't changed, that was just, and I like that. Like, these are serious issues sometimes, but don't take them too seriously. Like, what the hell? Yeah. Dreadnought, did you see? So Arcane and I finally had a chance to do a sit down, just the two of us.
Yeah.
That was. I didn't have you as my guide to explain to me the crazy shit he was saying. So it was
just the two of you.
Yeah.
He and I have discourse every so often, but it's usually fairly related to ethnic matters. But outside of that, it's like opening up Pandora's box on any random Tuesday on a full blue moon, and there are fucking leprechauns in outer space watching you do this, and whatever drugs you want to take at the time will probably help the experience, because it goes from, okay, let's talk about simple beliefs and disbeliefs, to you don't know what you think you know, but you can know if a being outside your mind tells you you know. But the only way that you're going to know that is if this being tells you that's outside your brain that you can't prove exists in the first place because it's outside your brain.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, hold on a second. Who are we talking about here? I might have lost the thread for a second.
Arcane.
Arcane. Yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah.
Yeah, that's.
Speaking of Arcane, Fox in the Know has had him on the ropes for a couple days now. He's hitting him with
really?
all right, we have the Arcane, who as a god who's telling these things, and then we have the Arcane, who's a simulation. And Arcane cannot wrap his head around it. I'm actually only seeing half the conversation, but I can see responses. Arcane is just like, no, see, because I know God exists. It's like, well, yeah, that's exactly what the sim would say. So how do you know you're not the simulation? How do you know you're actually in? Well, he's revealed it to me in such a way. No. The sim would say the same thing. So how are we going to tell between you? And it's still going, and it's just wonderful. Arcane, he's just not grasping it.
That's not on his cue card. You know why.
Yeah.
That's where I needed you, Greg. Was the it's not in his cue cards. There's one point in the discussion that I actually have a clip there I want to play from that discussion, not to sort of mock Arcane, but because it's on topic with what I wanted to talk about. Should we ever trust anything that evangelical apologists ever say ever? But there's a moment in there that he had said, what the heck brought it up now? But I had said in response, like, are you one of these guys who's playing chess with 3 different people and you're getting your conversations mixed up and whatnot? When I went back and listened to the Hangouts, I realized no, that was the wrong thing to say. What I should have said was, oh, I see we're at the point in your script where you get to the part where you say I said this when I didn't actually say this, because he was doing the stunt of saying, well, you've already acknowledged that God gives me whatever, and I kept saying, no, that's not what I acknowledged, because I did very early on acknowledge that if his God exists, then yes, he could have a revelatory experience, right? And then he says, well, he had a revelatory experience. Well, that doesn't prove his God existed. That's affirming the consequent, right? That's a fallacy. Yeah. But he kept saying that I was agreeing to this other thing, and I should have said to him, it's very helpful when you were there before, and you just kept pointing out every time I said, I don't get why you'd say that, Arcane, and then you'd say, well, that's his script, and then when I would say something and he couldn't answer, why can't you just answer the simple question, Arcane? You'd go, because it's not on his script, and they'll be like, oh, okay, thanks. That was
he doesn't like that.
Hangout at Galaxy's channel. That was very, it was helpful to me, whatever. Let me cue up that clip then. And just to recap for people who didn't see it, what happened was Arcane had kind of bailed on a discussion we're going to have about Kent Hovind, but then we happily agreed to one on Presup, and then we started talking about Kent Hovind. So the clip I'm going to show you is from the video that's titled, Arcane and Hogtie talking about the Presup or whatever, and the video is only a half hour long because towards the end of what happens here, I was screen sharing something and I went to hit stop screen share and accidentally hit stop broadcast, and I ended the broadcast. So then there's the part 2, which happens a few minutes later. So the titled Arcane and Hogtie talk about the Presup is only half hour long.
Part 2 was wonderful. I loved part 2.
Well, then we got into the Presup, and it was a lot of fun. The thing I'm going to show you, so that it's titled, we're talking about the Presup, we're actually talking about Hovind. Then in part 2, we continue to talk about Hovind, but then we finally do get onto the Presup. So this is a segment I want to show from the Hovind discussion. It's part 1 from the starting at 11 minutes. So I got to go this guy and this guy. I love how everybody, when they start screen sharing, has to narrate, like, oh, I got to click this, and then I got to unplug my headphones.
Go over here, touch this button for a second.
Yeah, and I invite you all to mute yourself as I unplug my headphones to avoid the echoes. And if you could guide me in the side chat as to the volume level as I hit play. Right about it, right? It's a little bit presumptuous. The other thing that you're slipping in there is, I'm sorry, what a jackass I am. I totally forgot to intro this. The reason I'm showing this particular clip starting at 11 minutes is because just the theme here about should we ever trust these guys when they tell us something, whether or not it's about supernatural things. They can't give you simple answers on worldly things. So what I'm trying to find out, and I've been asking this question to these guys lately quite a bit, is I ask them, where did you learn this? When you make this claim, how did that claim get into your head? Is it something you studied yourself, or is it something you went and you looked up somewhere, or did you find it on a special on Nova, or did your pastor tell you? Just tell me where you learned it. So I think I asked the question here. I want you to decide for yourself whether or not I'm specific enough in the question when I ask him, where did you learn this definition for structuring transactions? How did you, Arcane, come to be informed as to what the term structuring transactions means in American law? I want you to decide whether or not I was asking that question clearly enough, or if you misunderstood it. And then I want you to hear what his answer is. And I want you to decide whether or not he's being a little gray area, fibbing, or entirely truthful, or whether it's a total outright lie. So we'll run this for about 2 minutes. That this is important in any way. Like, I think it would be unpalatable for a judge to say something like that, but does it speak to the evidence? And it doesn't. It's had nothing to do with it. It's yet another dodge of, we're not going to talk about what the evidence was. Then you do as many other open apologists do. You say, yeah, well, there's this thing about these affidavits and that sort of thing, and he was just convicted for moving his own money around. And then let's also talk about this other thing over here. Like, was he convicted for moving his own money around? Is that your recollection?
That's what structuring is.
Not exactly.
Money out of your own bank account.
I think you can put a little more meat on the bone. I suspect you know a little more about what structuring is than that definition. Like, is it your view, if I go down to the bank and I take $20 out of my checking account, I'm structuring?
According to that law, yeah. According to that law, anybody with a bank account and anybody who withdraws less than $10,000 within a certain period of time is guilty of structuring. So I'm guilty of structuring if I go and I pull out $9,000 today, go tomorrow and pull out another crime.
I had a little bit of an audio breakup on my end, but what I got from that was you're saying I'm guilty of structuring if I take out $9,000 today and then go later in the week and pull out another $9,000 and go and pull out another $9,000 and do that you're guilty of structuring.
Right.
Is it what has informed your understanding of what structuring is? Like, where did you learn about this law? And what other sources have you, like, when people have explained to you, like, there must have been some point when somebody said, oh, well, he was guilty of structuring, or they were charging him with structuring. You went, oh, what's structuring? So where have you learned about what structuring is?
You can look it up. A simple Google search.
No, I know. I can look it up. I'm aware of that. Anybody else can look it up. Everybody who's watching, go ahead. You can look it up. I'm asking you, Arcane, what was your source of information? How did you come to understand what structuring is?
The law dictionary. Just like anyone else should look up any law, you're going to look at the law dictionary. You're not going to just go ask Joe Smo off the street.
Okay. Structuring would not be in a law dictionary. It's come specifically from a statute, right? This is the Banking Security Act of 1985.
Yeah, same difference. You're not going to go ask.
No, it's the dictionary. A dictionary defines legal terms. The legal dictionary doesn't contain all of the statutes of all the countries on the whole planet, right? That you have to look at the statutes for Colorado, or you have to look at the statutes, in this case, the United States Code. So have you taken time to look up what structuring is in be the BSA, Banking Security Act? Like, I mean, I guess what I'm getting at is doing that with you. I think that what my guess is, and I want you to correct me if I'm wrong, is that where you've learned about structuring is by listening to Hovind supporters say, well, they just put him in jail for moving his own money around.
Okay, then why don't you tell me, since you claim to know, what is structuring?
Well, the reason why I wouldn't tell you, I still will, but a very fair reason for me to say, no, I'm not going to tell you, is because I've already, oh, I'm sorry, it's going to be unfair. I was going to say, because I've already told you this in comments, and it's, you're not listening. Sorry, it was Pillbox. I told this in comments, so that's unfair. I apologize for what I was about to say. Okay, so structuring is, okay, first you have to go back to I forget which act it is, but it's from the 1970s. And blah, 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 blah. Hogtie talks for 10 minutes. Yeah, so I've got my sound back here. So, Adam, correction. There was a gaffe in there. Somebody misspoke.
Well, no, you actually said it exactly right, Hogtie. I mean, I jumped in and you jumped in at the same point to say, no, you don't find the definition of structuring by looking in a law dictionary. You figure out what structuring is by going to the relevant statute, in this case, the relevant federal statute. And you hit that on the head. So I didn't need to really comment on that again. I made my little comment correcting Arcane before I saw that you were doing the same. So.
Oh, okay.
Well. Clearly, structuring is just taking money out of the bank. So
yeah.
No. Again, if you take a look at the appropriate statute, it explicitly says for the purpose of evading the reporting requirements. Okay.
How might one take a look at that particular statute?
By a quick Google text. I mean, the statutes are available for free on the Legal Information Institute from Cornell University.
Cornell University. Okay, good. Oh, you put it in the side chat. Let me actually super quick. Let's. This is partly what's a little frustrating about that is. I wonder, can I? If I switch tabs. USC. Oh, what did you just post as a link?
I just posted the LII section 31.
Oh, you went to 31.
31 U.S. Code 5324. Structuring transactions to evade reporting requirement prohibited. The actual title of the code section actually says.
Yeah.
Structuring transactions to evade reporting requirement prohibited.
Okay.
So in other words, the affirmative, what has to be proven for you to be guilty of this is that it has to be proven that the purpose of structuring the transactions was to avoid was to evade the reporting requirement. Now, how do we know this is the case in the case of the Hovines? Because we have records of them withdrawing $9,500 or $9,600 on a weekly or monthly basis, and making out checks of that amount to cash on weekly and monthly bases. When the IRS came to their house, they found tens of thousands of dollars in cash, which the Hovines, by the way, lied to them when they were asked about it. Which indicated that they were very clearly withdrawing large amounts of cash and then paying their employees in cash to avoid in this case to avoid reporting to avoid paying payroll taxes or reporting payroll taxes. Now, of course, what made the structuring illegal in this case is that it is what the section is specifically about is structuring so that the financial institution does not have to report the amount of money that you withdrew. So the Secretary of the Treasury gets to say how much money banks have to report, and it's set at $10,000. So structuring is repeatedly withdrawing less than $10,000 at a time, so that you do not so that those reporting requirements are avoided.
Yeah, for the purpose of evading the requirements. Okay, so that's sorry. I thought you were referring me to the LII site.
Well, this is the LII site.
It is. But you actually referred me to the particular page. You even went as far to go to the particular page. So now, how do you find out case law behind this? This has been cited in what cases? Is there a link here for?
Yeah, there is. You can go to where do you?
Isn't there a legal impendium, or I think is that the right word, impendium, that contains all legal precedent cases?
Yeah, but I think to get that you might need like a Lexis link or something. I'm not sure you can get that from the free website.
I thought there was some kind of
I do know that there's because I do know the IRS keeps a table somewhere.
Okay, well, sir, not to get too far afield. Not take us too far.
So I don't have an immediate good answer to that question. If I got to the point where I was doing that much work on a section, I'd have my law library here at the firm helping me at that point.
Does anybody have any idea what sort of mental gymnastics that Kent Hovind has to do to get around the idea that you render unto Caesar that which belongs to Caesar?
Well, yeah. That's an
sir, let's not venture too far into the Hovind thing, because I do separate hangouts on that anyway. I've actually invited.
I think you.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
What I'm just trying to show here is that this information is available to everybody. So I've actually gone to CanLE, which is our version of it, not housed at Cornell. This is a different school that houses this one. But like, what's something people are curious about in Canadian law? Homicide.
I'm mainly curious about why it is that you keep persecuting Christians who speak out against gay people. So, do you have something on the statutes involving like the human rights courts or whatever crap you call that?
Yeah, there's got to be something. And the thing about the cake thing. Oh, yeah, that's in citations. So there's cases, there's legislation. Every country has this thing. If you want, blah blah blah. Anyway, the point is this stuff is all on the internet. Now, one thing after Arcane had told me that this was what was it? The structuring was defined in the law dictionary, not Black's, not any specific reference to a law dictionary. After it says in the law dictionary, I shook my head and I said, no, it's not. It's not in any law dictionary. The law dictionary defines legal terms like from common law and whatnot.
A legal dictionary wouldn't have a statute.
Right, but the thing is, a lot of times the language
lagging,
used in
I'm sorry, go ahead.
statutes, the language used in statutes does make its way into legal dictionaries and whatnot, or the language in the statutes came from common use in legal history. So I thought, well, what am I doing saying that it's not in the legal dictionary? So I looked up in Black's Law Dictionary what the whether or not structuring was in there, and it turns out it's not.
Not in there.
But yeah, we're not going to confirm it for people. You get the idea. The point is, so I asked him. We'll press on as I see that we're joined by Gman in a not got hogtie blocked channel. So we'll join him here in a moment. But just I wanted to sort of make the point in terms of, well, do we trust them when they say things? Because here I asked him. He's giving me the definition of structuring. I tell him, no, it's not. And I've read the thing. The mistake, by the way, Adam, was I referred to the Banking Security Act. It's the Banking Secrecy Act of 1985. I misspoke twice. Whatever. People can look it up for themselves. Don't take my word for it. But when I asked him, notice the dodges too, I asked him, so where did you learn what structuring was? He says, well, you can look it up on Google. Well, I know I can, but where did you learn it? Then he says, well, from the law dictionary. People should look up, of course you should look up things in the law dictionary. I tell him it's not in the law dictionary. Where would you go to learn it? And then he says, okay, well then why don't you tell me what it is? And I should have said, because the question is, Arcane, where did you learn it? And him saying, well then you tell me what it is.
He did the same thing with me, Hawk. I don't know if you remember.
So that's, I mean, I know. So I mean, Gman's here, and again, I was actually.
I don't know if you remember.
Go ahead, Greg. Yeah.
Oh, he synced out.
Oh, we lost his.
He went chuckly.
Chuckly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I call it chuckling when your microphone starts to go.
Gus, what are you saying in the side chat is unfair?
Oh, I just said because Gman said that if anybody doc dropped him, he'd leave the hangout and that he would block whoever doc dropped him. And I said, well, could you tell us first before you go what's in the Book of Titus? And then Heavy Holler went, Gus! And I was like, all right, I'm sorry. I realize that's unfair.
Wait a minute.
All right.
It was from something that happened.
I wanted to talk to me about something, and I was called a coward and all this other stuff and whatnot. You got trolling, seriously. I'm not saying.
Was he? I don't recall. I could be mistaken though.
Why did you have Trogue's door, or whatever the heck his name is, ask me to come in here if you? I don't think that's funny.
Okay, so hang on for a second now, everybody. So we're all having a lot of fun here. We got a pretty full room, but I had invited Gman, and originally the way I had seen this would go was that he and I could talk sort of calmly and comfortably without having a bunch of people pouncing on him at the same time, and then we could invite other people in afterwards. So I wonder, and I hope you guys don't see it as too discourteous. I wonder if I could ask you to sort of sit on your hands for a little period here, while Gman and I sort of get ramped up and sort of treat it as if you hadn't come in yet, and I will certainly We'll just see what's on Gman's mind, and I'll invite you to rejoin. But I'm going to ask you to please don't sort of pounce from all directions. Just let him and I sort of work out.
It's the least I can do.
You guys think it's so moral?
It's the least I can do.
Well, hold on. Let me get some popcorn first.
But Hogtie was going to challenge him to a debate.
You can challenge him to a debate. All right, now let's. Okay, sorry, because I haven't heard a word that Gman said because too many people.
And I mean anybody.
Okay.
Period.
So, everyone, just calm down. So Gman, I'm now going to introduce you using your alternate.
I don't think that's funny, JD.
All right. So Gman, we can't talk at the same time. So what I'm going to say. So Gman, have you? I haven't heard anything you've said because people have been talking at the same time, so I'm picking up alternate words. So again, I'm going to ask people, let Gman say what he's going to say. I want to say first, welcome Gman.
I don't got nothing to say. I was invited here by Trodor. He says that I was scared for coming in here. I don't know what this hangout's about. I don't know the title of this hangout. I don't know what I don't know what you want to talk to me about.
Okay,
all I read was something on Google Plus that said that that apologists shouldn't be trusted.
Yeah, you shouldn't be trusted.
I find that to be interesting.
Yeah, you should. Yeah, you can't. Yeah, you can't.
Oh, we shouldn't.
That's my position. So okay. Yeah, and I don't mean trust in terms of whether or not. Whoa, just take your turn. What I mean is in terms of. Sorry, just one sec. Part of the problem we're having. Let me just check your D, Gus, JD, get back in your chair. Mike, mute. Oh, I can do it. What am I yelling at people for? I can just go mute. All right. We got too many microphones open, and I'm getting a lot of.
All right, I'll sort that out for my.
Okay. Where are we, G-Man? So when I say shouldn't be trusted, I don't mean that you're skeezy, dishonest people. I mean, we shouldn't put our faith in things you say because it's unlikely that when you say something, it's going to be correct. Now, the two specific claims. So I'm going to give you the two claims, and you can pick them in which order you want. What I want to know is, and to make it clear, so there are two claims that you've made, and I'm not even saying you have to prove the claims true. What I'm going to ask you is,
how about this, Hogtie?
What is the source for the claim? Okay,
how about that?
So the source for the claim, what I'm looking for here is the source for the claim. Now, I don't know if your connection broke up or something. You started talking while I was just about to ask you the question. So if you could just hold until it's your turn. So you ready? So I'm not asking you, just to be clear, I'm not asking you, you can prove the claim's true if you want. That's not necessary. But what I'm asking you is, what is your source? How did you come to understand this? Okay, so you ready? Claim number one. Claim number one is, atheists are the least trusted people on the planet. Okay? And claim number two is that the United States Supreme Court ruled that atheism is a religion. Okay, so I know they're completely unrelated topics, but those are two claims you've made a lot lately. And I'm just curious from you, G-Man, and whichever one you want to do first, do you have a...
How about this, Hogtie? Now, why don't you tell me what the name of the hangout is and what the topic is before we talk about anything? I just came in here like cold turkey because I saw something on Google.
I just did, and I see a message go by in the side chat. He's not listening.
Yeah, you know what? I don't have an obligation to explain it to you because I think you already know where my claims come from.
God?
No. Oh. Now you're trying to say I got that from God. Okay.
No, I'm asking you. I asked you.
No. You know where I get my information from. Okay. You know, it's all good.
Okay, so let's start again. You ready? Calm down, because this is friendly. This is friendly.
I'm not upset, Hogtie. You're being sarcastic and you're being Hogtie right now.
So what
I'm going to be G-Man in a second.
Okay. So I'm curious, G-Man, are you going to stomp out in a huff? Is that your plan?
No, I was invited here by Trogdor. He told me that he showed me something on Google Plus that was your post that he claimed that you couldn't put on my channel or whatever. Yeah. And I came in here kind of off the blue. And now you're just jumping on me about some things I said on my channel. It doesn't work that way with me, Hogtie. You know that. So why are you asking me these questions? What is this hangout about? What is it titled? And why are you saying that apologists shouldn't be trusted? Because don't even get me started on the people in this room alone.
Okay. No, you've already started. There's no not getting you started. Okay, okay. Calm down. Okay, it's a great question. Great question. You're asking why you're here.
I'm trying to be a moral thing. I'm just curious.
Okay, so what we're going to do. Just because you're having a little trouble following it, right? So I'm going to try to explain it again one more time. That is, there are two claims that you make in your videos. I want to know from you, what is your source for those claims? Okay? So one claim is, atheists are the least trusted people on the planet, and the other claim is, the United States Supreme Court has ruled that atheism is a religion. Those are two claims you've made in your channel, and I'm just saying that we shouldn't believe you when you say things like that, because in my view, my guess is, you don't have a reasonable source for those things. But I'm giving you the chance to say, no, here's my source for this. So which of those... Okay. Well, the reason why that's not really helpful is because I'm asking you two very specific questions. And if you want to talk about something else, you've got your own channel where you can do that. What? What's the problem? Because you keep talking when I'm trying to ask you a question, and you're complaining that I'm not asking you a question. Okay, so go ahead. I'd like to hear.
All right, guys. I think there's a lag between you. I don't think he's deliberately talking over you at this point. I think it's just a lag between you.
Okay, I'll give him the credit for that. I appreciate that. Thank you. Is it the answer to my... Okay.
He actually explained it twice.
Here we go. Okay, so you're going to get pissy and stormed out. I know. Everyone's made the prediction. Go ahead. I turned it up because you were quiet. I turned it up because you were quiet. Are you okay? Breathe. Breathe.
He has trouble hearing it on his end,
You
dumbass.
can't hear the feed. You cannot hear.
Oh, God.
Oh, boy.
Right.
Excuse me, I've just heard a message that apparently people can't hear him on the watch link.
Oh, man, look at that.
Wow, people can't hear G-Man. Oh, how surprising.
And that was a minute ago. That was a minute ago before I turned
How
the volume up louder.
surprising.
All right, everyone.
Okay.
If I can just for a second, everyone, guys, you have to treat this like a wildebeest. You have to approach very, very slowly and quietly. Don't shake it. Really?
We know he's going to storm out in a huff. I don't care. Anyway,
it's like, I'm serious. My 4-year-old is sitting less than 3 feet away from me, and no one can hear him. He is behaving better than G-Man right now.
Yeah.
That's usually the
guys,
case.
mute your mics. G-Man's trying to make a point. Let G-Man go.
I mean, we're actually interested in a calm, polite conversation. That was our
JD, enough. Oh, no, enough. I ask you guys, please mute. Let G-Man say his thing.
Sure.
Okay,
Yeah, we knew that would come
I appreciate it. Thanks for coming out, G-Man.
Thanks, G-Man. Bye.
Okay, we'll see you.
See you, G-Man.
Bye. So we couldn't answer.
So as we were saying earlier, G-Man doesn't have sources for his claims.
That's why we shouldn't.
That's why we shouldn't believe anything the presupper say.
Are you really surprised, though? It's just like
No, I'm really not surprised. I mean, I have tried for years to get any of these people to ever back up anything they say.
But
they
I
never
know
have
it is.
any valid citations.
Wait, G-Man, I thought you were leaving.
Never in their lives have they done that.
Well,
I was leaving.
And you know, I've been saying this for a long time, but this is actually a wonderful example. The definition of stupidity is having an opportunity to learn and being unwilling to, and that is exactly what G-Man did here. I mean, he wasn't even listening to what anybody was saying.
He's not.
At no point did he hear. If we tried right now to get G-Man, if G-Man was even willing to, if we tried to get him to actually repeat what Hogtie had said, the hangout was about, he'd be unable to do so because
okay. Sorry, let G-Man's trying to get in here. Let me put him back up. Go ahead. Yeah. Okay. No. Okay. Let me. Yeah. That's easy. Okay, G-Man. Okay, G-Man. Here's the thing about that, G-Man, is that I've asked them all to be quiet, and they were quite quiet to let you talk. And in terms of if I want you to answer my questions, I don't need you to answer my questions. I've made the point that you don't have any sources for these claims. You're copying this other bullshit that you hear from other bullshit artists, and you actually don't know what you're talking about. And I'm inviting you to answer the question, to tell us what your sources are. And if you want to, my position is that you don't have sources. So if you can't answer those questions, I'm not going to chase you down to get answers to the questions. You have ample opportunity to do.
What the fuck? Really? Really? He's really serious. What the fuck? Is this a WWE match?
Only if you beat him in Hell in a Cell at WrestleMania.
Exactly.
G-Man. For G-Man.
Why would I do that? The answer to the question is, I'm asking you.
Whoa, guys. Apparently there's
enough.
a technical issue. People can't hear G-Man in the actual broadcast.
Why do we want to punish them? Let's not fix it.
I don't know if it's a technical issue.
They must be able to hear. Okay.
Yes, G-Man. And yes.
Okay, everyone, no. Okay. I'm going to have to mute. Okay, I'm going to have to mute everyone else in the Hangout too if you're going to talk while G-Man's trying to talk. All right? So listen, G-Man, that's stupid. And here's why. I'm asking you, hey, and as a conversation, just friendly conversation, G-Man, where did you learn this? Now, my view is that you learned it from some other apologist. So you're saying if I answer your question, you have to leave YouTube. So you're going to tell me, oh, yeah, no, I learned it from some other apologist. There, I answered your question. Therefore, get out of YouTube. I don't care if you answer. That's the thing you don't get. What was that?
Someone used his real name in chat. Dude, fucking leave. You're a goddamn adult. Nobody gives a fuck. Oh my goodness.
Hold it.
It's annoying.
Hold on. Here's a... Okay, hold on a sec. Dragnut. Okay, Dragnut is muted. Because I don't need that.
He's just blocked two people.
Gman has blocked two people.
Yeah, I don't blame Adam for doing it, but Adam gave him the excuse. He even admitted he wanted an excuse to get out of here, and that was the excuse. He used his name.
Okay, let me say this first. I have not seen what's in the side chat yet. I just went over because I was doing the thing with the volumes. I noticed I've got 22 unread messages there. Please don't repeat what's in the side chat on the air. If it's something in there that we're not supposed to refer to, then I just rather don't read it out there. But to be fair, G-Man, I want you to understand, whatever it is you guys are fighting over, I don't know what it is because I haven't seen what's in the side chat yet. But I'll tell you right now, people muting other people and blocking other people in the Hangout is not cool. I've asked you all very politely, like, can you just let G-Man and I talk for a second? It's hard enough because there's just smoke coming from the engine already. But anyway, so let me make this point first, and then I'll check in the side chat and see what's going on. And then I think, G-Man, I think you've excused yourself from the Hangout. I think you're welcome to go. I'll just tell you this. You're coming here pretty mad, like you're really upset. You just don't want to have a normal conversation that's casual. And the thing that's weird about this is I'm just saying, look, if you have sources for these things, and just tell us what the sources are. If you don't want to, that's fine, because my position is that you don't have sources for them. It's some bullshit that somebody else told you that you think is true, and why is it my job to go chase you down to find out what your sources are, right? Like, if you can't tell us the source for either one of those claims, I will just happily go on and believe that you don't have sources for it. And as I was saying before, we just ought not believe what's going on here. So if you want to start blocking people and storm out in a huff, by the way, the short odds money was on you just not showing up, and the slightly longer odds money was on you showing up and vandalizing the Hangout and then fucking off. So now that you've vandalized the Hangout, you're welcome to fuck off.
And prove that you have no honor. And you have no honor.
You have any last words on that, G-Man? Sorry, G-Man. G-Man, I have to interrupt you. I apologize. G-Man, I have to interrupt you. One of the rules previously announced in my Hangouts is parliamentary rules. You do not accuse someone else of being a liar unless you're going to be able to back it up. If not, then the next thing you do is apologize, okay? Now, if I've misspoken or misstated something, you're welcome to correct, but I'm not a liar, and I've told you I haven't seen what's in the side chat. I'm going to put your volume back up, and then you can go ahead and tell me what you're concerned about. I will read the side chat at the same time. Okay, well then fuck off and go do that. I've invited you to fuck off, like...
Honorless. Absolutely honorless. Not a scrap of honor whatsoever.
Okay, so the fact that I invited you, I gave you hours of notice that this was going to happen and invited you. Okay, so...
if it's okay, can I say one thing?
Please, go, JD, go ahead, inject some sense into this.
G-Man, I'm not sure. I get you're upset. I don't really know why. The goal that Hogtie wanted to do, he wanted to ask you a question he's been asking quite a few times now, and he believes that you do not know that you're here. That most of your arguments are coming from other people. Now he's invited you to prove him wrong. I mean, he's not coming at this with nothing. I mean, there's evidence that you're not getting this stuff directly from the Bible, you're getting it from other sources. So he's inviting you to defend yourself if you wish to. You do not have to defend yourself, but Right. I can hear you fine. Okay, Gman, I can hear you fine. I can hear you fine. All right, your volume's fine. However, you. Okay, I'm not asking, Gman. I'm not asking the question. This is hog test. I'm telling you something else.
Okay, Gman. Okay, Gman, again, take a breath. Here's what you're invited to do. You're certainly welcome. You can mirror this. You can do whatever you want. You're only going to evidence yourself as being a loony, interrupting, screaming bitch, which is what you're doing now. I will repeat the question. I will repeat. Okay, we're having a problem. Is it lag or something? Your claim now is that every time you've tried to answer the question, we've lowered your volume. I have lowered your volume when you've interrupted somebody else talking. Right now, everyone be quiet. I'm going to raise Gman's volume, and I would like you to answer the question. I'm going to repeat it for your benefit. The question is, what is your source? Gman, what did you go to, what did you review to determine that the Supreme Court had ruled that atheism is a religion? No, okay, but I would like you to answer. Hold on. Before you do that, no, you haven't started. I'm not asking what your view is about atheism. I am asking straight up. Okay, so he can't answer the question. He obviously can't answer the question. I've made it clear enough. I've asked him a number of times. He's going to prattle on about his view. And bye-bye, Gman.
Yeah, we kind of knew coming in that Gman was not going to answer the question. He did what Gus said. He's firing off flat left and right. Like, anything to actually... He was so happy that Adam, I know you didn't see the side chat, Adam used his real name, because Adam's like, well, why not? Who gives a shit?
Yeah, I don't...
But of course it was in the side chat, it wasn't audio.
I would not, I wasn't going to say it on the hangout, because that'd be that'd disrupt everybody else, but I didn't see a problem with putting it in the chat.
Can I just point out the reason I was interrupting? I was trying to tell you, I've got repeated comments. They couldn't hear Gman anyway. There was some sort of technical issues.
And that was the whole way through.
And also, soccer's just come up, so I don't know if you want to.
Really?
Yeah, he wanted to.
So yeah, the recording of this may not include Gman's audio at all.
Yeah, this is what I've been told.
Oh my God, the audience is missing out because he was a firecracker. He was just fucking Rudy.
That's the only reason I tried to jump in and interrupt, was to let you know that he perhaps needed to leave and come back because people couldn't hear him apparently.
G-Man.
You need to come back to try now come back and don't be a douchebag from the very get-go, all right?
This will wait. This will forever be known as G-Man, the Lost episode.
Wow.
Lovely.
That is hilarious. I wonder how that even happened. I'm wondering if. Oh yeah, I'm getting a whole bunch of messages here on G+. People saying no sound from G-Man. I wonder when that started.
Soccer?
You want to know something? I already did. I didn't?
Oh, apparently he isn't.
Oh, I didn't. Okay, sorry, wrong one.
It says it's because he hates you, Soccer.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I get it.
I'm sorry, Hogtie. Carry on.
Yeah, I was trying to send the message too. Yeah, there was no audio in the live feed at all from Gman, but not that it really mattered because I mean, you could pretty much imagine everything he was saying.
He didn't say anything anyway,
Oh please, you know what? This is just like a Bob Newhart sketch. You don't need to know what the other person is saying because our responses have essentially framed exactly what he said. It's
Bob
insane.
Newhart, what a great reference.
Yeah, I just said in the chat, awesome reference. Oh.
It is. So let me ask you, I got a question though, for people who saw it and knew what was going on. At what point on the YouTube feed did he go out? Is it the case that he was never heard the whole time, or is it the case that he went silent after he started muting and blocking people in the Hangout?
I didn't watch when he came in. I'm assuming it was relatively close to the beginning, but in all that I saw, he didn't hear him at all.
I've got it, so I'm gonna trim it up and I'll let you upload it. I just checked it and G-Man's voice did show up on it. So.
Oh, great! Thank you.
Gava guy had a hangout earlier where he has a thing with John Law, whoever that is, but you could barely hear John in the background. But it was kind of like what we just went through with G-Man. Gava guy was trying to ask him questions about something, and you could barely hear him, but from Gava guy's responses, it was just like what we just went through. he kept sidestepping and saying this and saying, and all these people were doing this and that and everything, and on and on and on. And it was like, can't he just stop for a moment and go, yes, no, maybe, I don't know, or here's your answer.
You know, it would have been a lot easier.
Arcane is the same way. You cannot get a straight answer out of them. And a lot of these other ones, you ask them a direct question, and they sidestep and start reading going paragraph after paragraph about something that has nothing to do with what you just asked. It's aggravating as hell.
You know, Heavy, this would all have been a lot easier if you'd have just let me antagonize him using the Book of Titans. You know that.
That would have been quite entertaining.
Because I tried, and then Heavy Holler and the side, I was like, Gus! I'm like, what? I'm just asking about the Book of Titus. I'm just asking. He's supposed to give an answer.
It's really not a hard question.
Yeah. Do you think my bit about approaching a wildebeest was accurate?
Yeah. Precisely accurate, although I would have said more like a gazelle. And one that had bashed his head on a baobab tree to begin with, so...
I would expect more Bible knowledge from the gazelle, though.
Yeah, that's right. I have a funny feeling if I asked the gazelle to exegete the Book of Titus, I'd get a better answer.
Okay,
honestly, I would love to hear a 1 versus 1 of Adam and Gman, because Adam is biblically literate and also just generally intelligent, you know, a good person and knows his shit. And is also a theistic evolutionist. So
what would we title that hangout though? Like grown man slaps little kid to death?
Breaking news. Breaking news.
The little kid objects to that. Okay, Katie, he doesn't mean you.
All right, folks, stop.
I don't know. News. You know, we could. You know, Gus. It's true though. We could probably get a much better discussion just having me debating JD's kid there. Much more balanced.
My green lines are bopping. Yeah. Okay. My green lines are going up and down.
Yeah. No, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Hogtie. We're just being impolite, Hogtie.
Okay. Yeah. So breaking news. So I've just gone back to that point in the Hangout. You can hear Gman in the Hangout. Again, you hear. I will adjust his volume down when he was off on his crazy, interrupting, batshit loony stuff, and then I'll put him back up. You could hear him again. When you don't hear him anymore was after he started blocking other people in the Hangout. So my response in the technical
it might be something automatic in the Hangout.
I'm still talking here. My response is fuck that guy, because if you come into a Hangout and you start messing around to screw it up so that other people can't participate in the Hangout, and you end up doing something that screws up your own, and obviously that's not the way Google's supposed to work. It's a bug or a glitch or something. But I don't care. I really don't care. And he's going to be on his channel. Those guys were adjusting my volume, they're muting me or whatever. He vandalized this Hangout by coming in and muting everybody else, and he's going to whine, when you're in someone else's Hangout, you follow their rules. But he came in here with nothing more than the intent to vandalize this Hangout, and he did it, and he did it in a way that he actually ended up screwing up himself more than anybody else. So let the guy whine away all he wants.
Here.
If you come in and start doing stuff like that, the Hangout will automatically mute you, I think. I heard something about that, but I'm not sure how true it is.
Well, I agree with Hogtie 100%. 100%. Fuck him.
I didn't know that. I honestly didn't know that they gave out those sort of grades in kindergarten. So are you're a BMA? You're a BME now, or what are you studying now? That's good. Yeah, I mean these days since the tuition costs have popped up an order of magnitude yet again. You're doing what smart people do. You go to a local community college for 2 years to get your gen eds and whatever they offer, and then pay the extra money for the other 2 years to get your bachelor's at the more prestigious state or private university, and then move on from there. So good deal. Smart doing there on that.
If you do pretty
Sorry
good.
to interrupt. Apparently, Dragnaut can't be heard now. I've just got a message saying that.
Because Gman, I think it's because Gman
so
blocked
weird.
Dragnaut.
I don't know if he needs to hit refresh or something. I don't know.
I could hear him just fine.
He's bouncing.
No,
so
in
hopefully
the
that'll
hangout
solve it.
apparently. I don't know. I'm just getting messages. I'm not actually watching the hangout.
All right. Well, he bounced. So once he's rebroadcasted, hopefully that'll fix it.
He's back.
Oh yeah, I gotta wait for Hogtie to come back. And,
Okay. Can everyone hear me now?
Yeah, I heard you. I was hearing you fine before, actually. So I don't know.
No,
Okay,
I'm getting messages about people watching the hangout.
You can also see your beautiful shoulders and well-developed back muscles. So.
Oh,
Very nice.
yeah. No, I've gained like
40
pounds, so I'm actually pretty fat from down here. So I'm keeping it like right there.
I'm guessing it's like 100 something out there right now.
Well, actually, I'm in Maryland right now, not in California anymore. So it's still pretty hot.
Now.
He's just dressed like that because he's hot, dude. That's all it takes.
Yeah. Dude, electricity here is expensive. I'm just opening all the windows, letting it all air out.
You want expensive juice, my friend? Come live in Ontario.
Oh, that's okay. I've heard about that.
You can be heard now, apparently, Dragnaut, in the video.
Well, I guess I'll have to.
Ironically, if you just stepped across to Virginia rather than Maryland, your energy costs would be cut about in half.
They have a lot of hydroelectric plants there, don't they?
Yeah, well, and you're closer to the center of the coal stuff too over there. Anyway,
yeah.
all I know is when we were trying to decide where to live, that was a big consideration. Anyway,
Can I ask you guys a question? Well, I'm going to, whether you say yes or not. Why do you think
you may not.
Why do you think Gman was so fired up the moment he got in here before anything? Was he just
because the way he heard about the there's a simple answer. The way he heard about the hangout was that Trogdor was taunting him for not being in here. Hey, you coward! You won't even get in here, and that apparently was all he'd heard. Like he hadn't seen the hangout otherwise. So the only thing he knew was that he was being taunted to go in the hangout. That's why I was so fired up.
Like,
he's been challenged to a match.
That's what, 5th grade goading, and let me meet you in the parking lot after school. What kind of shit is this?
That it worked. It's just wow. But I like how he thinks he's going to gift us with his position. Like it benefits us if you don't say anything, if you don't defend this position, because I agree with Hogtie. I don't think he's got a basis for most of what he says. I think he's just watched a few apologist videos and kind of gone from there, and a handful of memorized quotes that he got off websites. I doubt he's opened that study Bible in the last month.
I don't know what Trogdor said in Skype, but I'm just reading the comments. Trogdor's comments are, I have Gman on Skype right now, I'll give him the link. Then he says, Gman has the link, he said he wants to join, and he claims he does not have Hogtie Champ blocked. Now, what Trogdor said to him in Skype, obviously I have no idea, but that doesn't sound very taunting to me in the chat.
Well, not to say we should trust what Gman says, but what Gman said when he came in the hangout was Trogdor, called me a coward and said I needed to get in this hangout. So that was his. Of course, if his audio sucked earlier, but that's what I remember him saying. That's why I think that was his
he is in the recording having said that. And I would invite Trogdor or Gman to share that Skype call where Trogdor said things. But here's the thing. So Gman makes the claim that I'm not blocked. And yet, did he come in with his Gman channel?
Nope.
Or did he come in with a different channel?
GTV he came in with, as I recall.
Yeah. No, and
it's also possible he had someone else blocked, like me or JD.
Oh, come on. G-Man doesn't block anybody. I heard it. I heard that in a hangout just earlier today. So
I love that. G-Man doesn't block anybody. Come on.
I hate to admit it actually bothers me. I really like talking to G-Man. I do. I like.
Come on, you like punching G-Man repeatedly in the brain is what you like doing. You like just sort of biff.
All right, there's a little bit of sadism in there. this touch.
I don't know. I think somewhere a part of him really believe, like somewhere within himself, he really believes that he is, I don't know, intelligent, something. But just, can y'all see my screen right now?
Yeah.
Okay, so I highlighted a particular part that I thought was really funny.
Apparently not his grammar education.
Sorry, I just got a message in Skype. G-Man has a hangout scheduled tonight. Angry atheist, get over it by G-Man.
He's gonna
confidence because he has a list of rules that he has a list of do's and don'ts, and that makes him confident. Like, I can see how that would work if you're not smart enough to really come to moral conclusions on your own. If you need someone to be a moral agent for you.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, no, he'll have a little meltdown thing there, and like I say, this whole idea. Well, if we go to some other hangout, well, he'll answer the questions. He can't. He simply couldn't. I mean, the question was really simple. My favorite part about that when he came in, and not at all, no one is going to be at all surprised by this, was it? He came in. Well, what's this hangout about? Well, you couldn't read any of the announcements. Like, people sent him the announcement. People were messaging me. Yes, I've sent this announcement to him. Sent the announcement to him. Here are the 2 issues. As soon as he got here, I said, everyone be quiet. I told him, here are the issues. I want to know what your sources are. And then he says, well, what's the hangout about? Well, it's answer these questions. That's what it's about. It's just, can you, it's floor is yours. Go ahead. Well, I can't answer it until you tell me what the hangout's about. Okay, well, again, I'll explain. This is what the hangout's about. What red button? Like, And then you just couldn't get him to answer it. He started saying, well, atheists say that atheism is a lack of belief in blah, 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 whatever. Okay, G-Man, what are your sources? Why do you think, I don't want to necessarily retread this because I said it before he got here, but just sort of remind people or people that are joining a little bit late, that the point is that when the evangelicals say that atheists are the least distrusted group in the country, we know what study they're referring to. G-Man says on the planet, but whatever. We know what study they're referring to. When he says that the Supreme Court ruled that atheism is a religion, we know what the Supreme Court actually said. My question is, did you guys look at this stuff? What is your source for it? And it's not, they don't have a source. It's just them beaking off to each other and repeating it. And he cannot admit, just like Arcane, that's why I played that clip of Arcane. Arcane could not make the simple admission. When I asked Arcane, what informed you about what structuring transactions is? He could have quite honestly said, oh, I don't know, I don't remember where I heard it. Or I think I heard it from some guy, or if you're watching these Hovind videos, like these people that support Free Kent Hovind and whatnot, they explain what it is. He couldn't tell me that this is where he learned it from. He had to actually, and I'm going to call it a lie because it wasn't a simple misrepresentation or misspeaking. He said from the Law Dictionary. I said, where did you learn it from? He said, well, you can look it on Google. I said, no, where did you learn it from? He says, well, from the Law Dictionary. He said from the Law Dictionary. Do you think that Arcane has opened a law dictionary or looked up one online? No, that's a lie.
I don't think he's ever looked up any. Hawktie, do you remember the conversation that he and I used to have around the time when he was really strong with the precept, and then he and I would go back and forth, and that I asked him specifically, what is the difference between the verb and the noun, reason and reasoning? And then he continuously told me that I knew the difference and that I was just playing games with him. But I said specifically, no, reason as a concept is different than the action of reasoning. So which one are you referring to? And he would not answer me.
Yeah, and they can't just say, like, that's the thing that's weird about conversation with them, right? They can't just say, well, wait a minute, I don't know what you mean. Can you explain that better? Right? They've just got to, pick up the ball and
buy some time.
With it. It's just
buy time until they can think of something that won't make them look stupid. It's more important that lying is fine as long as you don't look bad in front of the evil atheist horde. I think that's really what it comes down to. Like, don't let them see you hurting. Which is, don't let them doing something.
And don't concede a single point.
Well, isn't there a concept called lying for Jesus where they can really have a lapse in integrity as long as it helps propagate the religion?
There's no biblical concept like that.
Yeah, I don't think it's biblical. The Muslim religion has this. Apparently in Islam, lying is a-okay to spread the faith.
Now that concept is called taqiyya, and it should be noted that as it exists in the appropriate texts in Islam, it's actually a very, very narrow exception. Taqiyya basically allows an adherent of Islam who is under direct duress, like is in a situation where they're like under an anti-Islamic government or something, to not profess being a Muslim. It's not. I mean, I think taqiyya is a concept that's sort of abused by people who want to say that Barack Obama is a secret Muslim or something. It doesn't. It's not this sort of broad, Muslims can always lie for Allah sort of thing, like. Well,
I'm glad to know that. I did not know that.
Oh,
What are you, some kind of Muslim lover?
No.
I'm trying to think what Gman would say.
I think I'm perhaps the only person here on record who is actually admitted to being an Islamophobic bigot. I will not converse with Muslims under any circumstances.
No. We did discuss this, Adam, and I did point out in the UK, all the Muslims I've met have come here to get away from the Muslims.
And I did say I would consider that further, and I am still doing so. Thank you for that. But that doesn't mean I want people to misconstrue the religion.
Oh, no.
I won't talk to Muslims.
Hogtie, I saw that thing with you and Arcane, and he did everything he could to keep from giving you a straight, honest answer. It went on and on and on. It was amazing. It was typical Arcane.
Yeah.
You cannot get a simple answer out of a lot of these people. They will not go, yes, no, I don't know. Well, let me find out. And when they feel threatened or unsure, they do just like what Gman just did and what John Law did on Gabba Guy's channel earlier. You try to talk to them, and they just start spouting off all these things going here, there, and yonder.
Yeah, these guys love their dance of the green shoes, man. You ask them a straight question, and they're like, what are you doing? Well, I'm answering your question. No, you're not. You're dancing around all over the place. It's the dance of the green shoes. It's horrible. And they all do it.
And then you call them on it, and you're the bad atheist.
Yeah, it's like, why won't you let me finish? Why won't you let me finish?
So you're the playing the game.
It's like, well, how long are we supposed to let you fucking dance for? I'm sorry. We got little kids listening. Sorry about that.
I just got another message in Skype that Gman's hangout has started. He says he's going to answer the questions that he was asked. Hang on, the next comment is, and he's got the questions wrong.
How? Okay, for those of you who are watching, I typed them twice. Each time Hogtie asked it, I typed it out for him. That's before he blocked me.
Yeah.
If I can interrupt with a quick little aside here. Just once, Sean, all of my kids love you now that I've showed them your profile pic. They're all, I said, number 5 is a lie. There it is right there.
Johnny 5.
I am Johnny number 5. Johnny 5.
Disassemble.
Do not disassemble Johnny number 5.
I just need more input. That's all. More input.
Cuddliest robot ever.
Aww.
Yeah, I can't show my son Heavy Hauler's background because he loves Transformers.
I am alive.
Did you guys see Heavy Hauler's background? Let me load it up. Look behind him.
God, no, don't, dude, no, don't, no, get out, no.
Fantastic.
Oh, God.
It's like we've kind of exhausted the topic, so let's just bring the kids in to have a little fun.
To be honest, I can we do a simulcast thing where someone broadcasts whatever Gman is saying in the other hangout and we comment on it or something? How does that work?
Yeah, we can do it for a couple of minutes, but I actually kind of want to wrap this one up now.
If I can find a link, I want to go join there and have a little fun.
Yeah, that sounds
join. You're not. They're not going to let you in there.
Well, I do happen to have like 15 sock accounts. So.
So you've learned well from Count Socculent.
I've actually had them for a while. I used to play what was the game? Castleville, where you benefit from having all my other accounts that come and help your primary account. And I did it for maybe a few months, less than a year.
Hey, look at that!
The accounts are still there. So if you ever see any member of the Onyenko family, none of those women have jobs you would want. That's me.
Sorry, I just wanted to point out I couldn't stand to watch anymore of it, but I did watch the G-Man thing for like the last couple minutes here, because he does attempt to answer the first question: why atheism is a religion. and I just want to cite his reasons because they're
First
really,
off,
they're really good.
What? That was
not the question. Yeah.
Of course not.
It's not the question, but go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, obviously, but to answer the question, why is atheism a religion? Reason number one, he's not the first person to make this claim.
Awesome.
I'm not the first person to make this claim. Second one, if you were to search in Google for atheist or atheism religion or atheist religion will pop up.
Bam.
Oh, wow.
Good one.
Yeah.
Good one. Good one.
Well, so does pterodactyl porn, but go ahead.
Yeah.
Giggity.
And the number one reason why atheism is a religion.
Drum roll, please.
Because we want to deconvert people.
Bingo.
So, hang on, is he implying that people who are religious want to deconvert other people from their religion?
No. But they want to. He wants.
Well, that's what he's implying. That's what makes a religion, that you want to deconvert people.
No, you must be misunderstanding.
He wants to convert people to Christianity. We want to convert people to atheism.
Right.
Therefore, atheism is a religion.
Where is the Church of Atheism, anyways? Where is that?
There's one in England.
They exist. There's one in England right now, I think.
But you know, like all the atheist churches, they exist in like a very kind of humorous, tongue-in-cheek fashion. I mean, it's a lot of the times they're nothing more than just to help people to move on past this the social aspect that you get from church. It's like, hey, you know what? Why don't we get together every single Sunday morning? You know, talk about random shit and then go for a barbecue. You know, like that's.
I would like it to be serious. I would like serious secular churches. I mean.
Yeah, no, it's not. I disagree with the portrayal of them as being tongue-in-cheek. I mean, the people who, I mean, when you interview the folk who are starting these churches, and there are more than 35 in the U.S. now, by the way, according to one article I read that I cannot source. But that when you talk to these people, they say, I mean, it's pretty much what Sokka said. They want the social elements of church, but they seriously intend, that there's a group of people that like going to church on Sunday.
But I just want to point out too that the founders of the largest churches out there are actually comedians. Like the two people that founded the two largest churches in California, I think it is, atheism churches, are actually their regular job is stand-up comedians.
Hang on a second. Here comes the answer to the second question.
Your fingers to do your own little research.
Sound is good.
To find out why the Supreme Court considers you guys a religion. Not to mention all the mega churches all you guys have. These big churches that you guys have, when you're going in and you worship.
So he repeats the claim.
Like a worship, whatever it is that you guys call it.
He repeats the claim that the Supreme Court, without cite, he says the Supreme Court says this, blah, blah, blah. So he still doesn't answer the question. He just repeats the claim.
Yeah.
Here's the second one.
I have other videos on my channel that goes into detail about that. So that's number one. Second question I believe that was asked of me. I gotta try to remember this one. Hold on a minute. Let me think here for a minute.
There were 2 fucking questions. It's not that hard.
I typed them twice.
Your religion.
I still didn't follow.
I don't remember the second question.
1, 6.
I really put.
He doesn't listen. He does not listen to fucking anything.
I can count to potato.
That's right. What's 2 plus 2, G-Man? It's fun.
Oh my
2 plus 2.
I don't remember.
Cheese.
22.
I mean, how can you expect him to cite sources? He can't even remember what 2 fucking questions are 3 minutes after leaving a hangout.
Hey, he used to brag. He used to be like me. He used to brag about it. Yeah, all right, so leave him alone.
Well, you know, I mean, if you give him a minute, he'll pull his socks and shoes off and count on his fingers and toes. He'll be fine. Don't worry about it.
It's typically not a good tactic to insult someone's intelligence when you're having a discussion with him. But with G-Man, it's hard. After this much time, it's hard not to point out the obvious. He's not. He's a bit slow, and so there's always going to be that. I'm trying to think that there's really no nice way to say it, you moron. There's just no nice way to say it.
He's not smart in
there's all kinds of technical terms we could use, but all of them are insulting when you say
dumb as a stump.
Well, no, what I've said, and like I'll stand by this, and I think it's, you know, most people would agree, is that the G-Man's greatest strength is the fact he's a fucking idiot. Like, it really is.
You got it.
He'll never grasp just how wrong he is on all these things. He will go to his grave thing like, I get the good life and all those bastards are going to hell, and then nothing happens. Well, that's my position. I know Adam disagrees.
G-Man, it's G-Man and Delilah, right? I get my great strength from my utter stupidity. Oh. And Delilah will teach him how to read in his sleep, and then he'll be taken away to the slave pens.
Hey, Star Splitter.
JD, you're a bad influence on your children. I heard them back there agreeing with you.
No one in this household is a fan of Gman. I mean, they've seen me back when I was still before he blocked me when I was still talking to him. They've seen that like, who's his asshole?
Daddy,
they're not using that word.
Daddy, who's that imbecile y'all are talking to?
Anyway, I gotta go to bed now. So night, folks. Take care.
All right, good night, D.
I mean, even the 6-year-old would walk up from time to time like, he's annoying.
Hogtie, did you post a comment? Did you post a comment on G-Man's video?
I did.
It's been deleted.
Oh,
he's mad.
Even his buddy Anime said that G-Man is trolling and being an idiot at the same time.
I just posted again, and what I'm posting is I'm posting the 2 questions on the YouTube video.
He won't read it.
That's fine.
He'll look at it and then still get it wrong.
He'll look at it. He'll look at it in his mind. He'll say, "Oh, so what you're saying is I like to fuck chickens." Just something completely unrelated to what you said. He'll be just completely off the wall. Like you think.
By the way, are we clear on what the Supreme Court's position actually is with regards to atheism and religion?
Well, I was actually hoping that because I missed the first hour of the hangout, so I apologize for that, Hogtie. Did you actually tackle some of these questions before he came in, or did you just wait for him before that?
I sort of hand waved a little bit. I said like, well, we know that they're referring to the Pew study, actually a couple of consecutive Pew studies now on trust, but they don't know the content of it. They couldn't tell you that that's the source for it. And I also said that we know of the Supreme Court ruling that they're talking about. But in any case, G-Man's not here to present that this is where he learned these things, so there's really not much point in discussing it. The point is not so much those 2 issues, but the fact that they don't understand and the fact that these guys just don't have things. So I kind of hand-waved past it. I mean, we could certainly have a discussion about those 2 things if somebody had something. I do kind of want to not have this be a 7-hour hangout, so I do kind of want to wrap it up pretty soon. I think this is a kind of a nice bite-sized piece of G-Man lunacy, including him coming in and destroying, this vandalizing attitude and then screwing up his own audio in the process. But yeah, did you have some thoughts on that you wanted to?
Well, I mean, I think that actually the 2 questions you asked actually are great questions. I put the link to the study that the majority of people reference to when they talk about how atheists are the least trusted group in America. I put that up in the side chat earlier. And at a later date, if people want to, it actually is a great topic to discuss because the results of that study are pretty fascinating, actually.
So technically, by definition, it is a religion, but not in the sense that the whole praise and worship thing.
Well, no. I was just referring to the least trusted part of America. I mean, for the Supreme Court ruling, that's cut and dry. That's pretty obvious. Is that under the Supreme Court, people are protected under their religious beliefs. What happens if you don't have a religious belief? Can you be discriminated against for not having one? Well, the Supreme Court says, okay, well that's unfair too. So we're going to include atheism as protected under the Freedom of Religion Act. Or whatever the concept.
Yeah, so the Supreme Court has not said atheism is religion. The Supreme Court has said that the option to not practice a religion is also protected by the Free Exercise Clause.
That's it. Yeah.
That's a great, simple way to put it. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's okay. So no, atheism is not a religion. No, the Supreme Court did not say atheism is a religion, but all the rights that are given to religious people to free them from discrimination can also be applied to people that do not hold a religious belief. That's pretty much it.
I put a link in the side to a thing Matt Dillahunt posted about it. Where he goes over several different court decisions or whatever.
Well, I think the first one was, I think, Turcaso versus Watkins, where a gentleman, I think Turcaso, was to be a public notary in Maryland, and there they in the Maryland state constitution, you had to declare a faith in God, and that went all to the Supreme Court. And that particular case, it was Justice Hugo Black had some, it was his own opinion that acknowledged atheism as a religion, but also secular culture and ethical culture.
Yeah.
But
and hold on, you can't say Justice Hugo Black's own opinion. Black was authoring the opinion of the court. So this actually is the Supreme Court opinion saying this.
Well, the last part though about the three things that he mentioned, those were just a little add-on that he did, which is not legally binding or anything. It was like just a little
footnote. The footnote, the actual footnote is.
Add an addendum or something like that. I forget the name.
It's a footnote. It's footnote 11. Footnote 11 states, among religions in this country which do not teach what would generally be considered a belief in the existence of God are Buddhism, Taoism, ethical culture, secular humanism, and others, and then cites a few cases on the question. So that's the footnote in question. Yeah, and the real point though is that it does say in this 1961, I think it is, case, 1961, before the footnote, in the actual body in the case, we repeat and again reaffirm that neither a state nor the federal government can constitutionally force a person to profess belief or disbelief in any religion. Neither can constitutionally pass laws or impose requirements which aid all religions as against non-believers, and neither can aid those religions based on a belief in the existence of God as against those religions founded on different beliefs. So.
Drop the mic.
Yeah,
now,
that was pretty easy.
Try to condense that into like a third grade form, and then we could actually give it to Gman to understand.
Right. The third grade form would be the First Amendment says that you can exercise a religion or not exercise a religion as you choose.
Too many syllables.
The First Amendment says you can do God or not do God as you choose.
That's getting closer.
That's pretty good. That's almost at a G-Man level.
In the beginning, do God or not do God.
What amazed me about G-Man, it's something I have an issue with pretty much all creationists. It's like trying to nail Jello to the wall. It's just
that sounds like my last relationship.
Try to stick to one subject, just all away. Like, come on, can I keep getting nailed down on any subject? It gets frustrating.
But we have to answer everything they ask in minute detail. Yeah.
And if they're answered, like G-Man said, just answering the question is him doing us a favor, apparently.
Yeah. Well, folks,
I'll answer your question if you meet all these demands. Like, what, you don't you want to clarify? Don't you want us to know what you mean? No? Well, I don't get that at all.
What I'd like to do, sorry to interrupt, but I do, like I say, I do kind of want to keep my hangouts sort of bite-sized chunks. And I do kind of want to end this one. People are certainly welcome to start another hangout, and you can post a link here, post a link on the comment section of mine, and I'm sure people would be happy to follow you. But as I say, I wanted to kind of keep mine fairly short. So the last thing I want to do then is evaluate G-Man's claim that I'm not blocked, that he has not blocked me. One thing I could do is show you my Skype, which I'm not inclined to do. Just take my word for it. You don't know, whatever. Believe me or don't believe me. In attempting to message G-Man with the hangout details, I'm blocked on Skype. So here I've posted, this is the all comments thing on his video, angry atheists get over it, exclamation mark, exclamation mark, exclamation mark. Not really
And
angry.
remember, Hogtie, more exclamation marks mean you're more right.
That's true. That's true.
You know, I just want to point out. I'm sorry. I just want to. There's one thing that I want to point out here is that in the context of the video, he is addressing one atheist in particular. So for once, he actually got the title correct. I guess. I mean, kudos to you, G-Man. Way to go.
I had to laugh.
He was addressing one atheist because when I looked at the screen, I saw like a little cross and stuff. I thought it was his version of the screw tape letters.
Oh. I had to laugh because a few days ago somebody had put up a comment about the way G-Man uses the word atheist as plural. you know, telling the atheist something, 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 and you're like, you mean so? And they were complaining about this, and this, you guys probably didn't see this because the replies to comments don't show up in a feed, so even people who were following me or circled me or whatever wouldn't have seen this. But somebody had been complaining about this, how he says atheist, and it's, you know, it's confusing. And I said, look, the system is really simple. The plural form is atheist. The singular form is atheist. It's a joke much funnier in writing, but anyway. So yeah, let's assess this. Am I blocked or not? So this is my Hogtie Champ channel, and as most people know, I have 2 Hogtie Champ channels because of the confusion the way I was setting it up. But yeah, that's me there. So when I view all comments, sure enough, there is my comment. So let us screen share all comments when signed in with my other account. Am I properly screen sharing that guy? Hey, I don't happen to see Hogtie's comment. So ought we believe Gman when he says things like the Supreme Court ruled this, or that the Pew Study research says that? Or should we believe him when he says things like, no, I don't have Hogtie blocked? Like I say, he had to come in with a different account. It may be because he's blocked other people. That's a good point that was a JD or D had made, that maybe other people that are blocked. But yeah, no, he blocks people that he cannot deal with their stuff, and then he complains about other people blocking him for stuff that they... Anyway, it's hypocrisy.
I'm quickly learning you can't trust a lot of these people. They will lie to you in a freaking heartbeat.
Well, the biggest defense I can take...
Not all of them, but some.
Yeah, I think well, the apologists. I've made the point before, and I sort of pick up Aaron's point when he says this, that it's possible to be an honest person and be a creationist, but it is not possible to be an honest person and be a creationist apologist. At some point, you have to make the active decision that you're going to lie. And I thought that was sort of overstating it when I first heard him say this about 4 years ago, but I've come to recognize, no, it's absolutely true. Every apologist for creationism, you catch them. There's some point when they have to actively decide, no, I got to lie about this. The most that I can say in their defense when radical evangelicals say things that aren't true, and I want to sort of make this point. I'm not saying that they sit down and they scheme and they tell lies. I think they do. A lot of them do sometimes. But that's not even my point. My point is you cannot take their word for it, right? It's the same reason, like when I say that I wouldn't trust, Ray Comfort or Tommy Hall or any of those guys to babysit my kids. And the reason is, it's not because I think that they would do mean things to my kids, but it's because, like, what if something happens and my kid needs an EpiPen, right? You need to be able to trust that that person has good judgment, and they're going to know the right information and how to act on proper information, that they're desiring to seek accurate information about the world around them. And these guys just can't be trusted. I could just see, like, Tommy Hall going, oh my God, the kid's all swelling up, and it was because of a reaction to the peanuts. Well, he needs more peanuts because he's got to toughen up, like they're just so disconnected. The EpiPen, oh, big pharma, get rid of the EpiPen, like, you just see, and that's unfair to Tommy to some extent, but it colors and characterizes this in them. You simply cannot, when they make a claim about something that goes on in the world, you cannot take their word for it because they are incapable of evaluating what's true and what's not true. And they can go on with their bullshit arguments all the time about atheists can't account for truth and atheists can't account for morality and that sort of thing. Well, you know what? They are, the proof of the pudding is in the tasting. They are incredibly ill-equipped to reason about morality. They're incredibly ill-equipped to reason about reality and to make decisions about what's true and what's not true. And as soon as you put them on the spot and you ask them, hey, where did you learn about this particular law? They'll say, well, you can do this, and then, well, no, where did you learn about it? I looked it up in the law dictionary. They'll give you a source that isn't even like a real source for that thing, and they didn't even look up themselves anyway.
Yeah, they do a lot of parroting.
What's that?
They do a lot of parroting. It's something they heard, and they act on it. Ooh, this would be good to use against them, but they really don't know how. If you corner them on it, they're like, and they're just repeating things. That's all. They're not thinking for themselves.
Yeah, I think when it comes down to for sensible people, the goal that they should set for themselves, and they'll say, "Oh, you guys don't have morality." Honestly, when it comes to, I know in my head when I should decide, am I going to say something? So there's a claim that I have X, and I'm gonna put it out there. Should I repeat it? I ask myself a couple of key questions. Number one, is it true? Right? I'm very, very much less inclined to say something that I don't believe to be true. And then there's other smaller issues, like is it other people's business or something, right? Like like for example, if I thought that Alex Botten was cheating on Kat, had a sexual affair with somebody, and let's say I believed that to be true, and it was a justified belief, one might call it knowledge if it were true. Should I still tell people that happened? I would say no. Just because something's true doesn't mean you have to say it. So first off, the big deterrent in saying something is when it's not true, and then the second deterrent is, well, when it's just nobody else's business. So when you, like I say, when you go to decide these things, for them, they don't decide. They don't sit and say, well, should I say this? Is it important? Is it true? Is it germane? Is it relevant? They don't go through any of that thought process. They go through the process of, does it edify Jesus, or whatever? They convince themselves, is this good or bad for my cause? And they will tell you any bullshit lie because they think it's good for the cause of Jesus, and they will hide anything that's actually true because they think that true thing would be harmful to their cause.
Can I do something that's probably going to get me a lot of fans and defend Gman?
It's something that will do what, sorry?
Not give me many fans, but I want to defend Gman.
Oh, I was going to end the hangout, but for that, I would absolutely keep it open. Sure, yes, please.
Okay. He's right about atheism being considered a religion, and here's why. Now, I don't know whether you do census polls in America, but every decade do them, even though I don't understand why. And under that, now in Britain, the religious landscape is a little bit different. But under that, the atheistic religious position is like pretty much neck and neck with the Christian religious position, and so legally it is considered one.
That's not defending him in any way, because that's not the claim. That's not the claim at all. The claim isn't, and what you just said was, that yes, atheism is considered a religion. I'm sure there are lots of people who consider it a religion. I know, for example, Gman considers it a religion. Not that anybody.
I personally don't.
Okay. The question is, because he's made the claim, the United States Supreme Court has ruled atheism is a religion. And I'm saying, what's the source for that? I'm not even asking him to prove that claim is true. I'm saying, what is the source for that? If you're going to make the claim that the United States Supreme Court ruled whatever, where did they rule it? What is the finding? Right? Is the reasons for judgment available for me to look at? Right? I've asked Adam this question, and I've been pointed to a reasons for judgment that was filed at I was going to say SCC, the Supreme Court of Canada, SCOTUS, 1961. You can go look it up, right? But I'm asking, what's the source? I'm not saying why do some people consider atheism a religion. I'm saying if you're going to make the claim that the Supreme Court ruled thusly, then what is the source for that? And these guys.
Well, he said it was because he just did a hangout himself, where he said that it was the second thing on Google. I think he said, like Google, if you Google like what was it, the Supreme Court and atheism, I think.
I don't care. I don't care. That's not the question. That is not the question. The question isn't if I were to go to Google, what would I find on Google? The question is, last week, Gary, not you, Gman.
Can I interject real quick?
Yeah.
The question isn't the veracity of the statement. It is how Gman and some of the other apologists go about checking the veracity of the statement. Are they relying simply on word of mouth because they believe it will fit their narrative, or are they actually going back and doing rigorous research before they make these statements?
Or any research. That's it exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
But if what Gary is saying is the Gman said in his rambling, incoherent way on his hangout, my source is the second Google link for the term Supreme Court atheism, religion, or something, that would at least be an answer, right? He would have at least given an answer to the question.
Yeah.
what's your source for the claim? Well, my source is, if you Google Supreme Court, atheism, religion, is the second link you'll get.
Okay. And his claim about why atheists are so distrusted was that he says, well, you don't have to just look at Google, look at YouTube. Now, me personally, I might think, well, it depends which atheist you talk about, because he talked about a certain atheist who dropped his information, which is back to the old Alice Bottom thing again.
Okay, sorry, I don't know what you're talking about now. Nobody asked the question, why are atheists distrusted? I know why, Gman doesn't trust atheists.
No, I'm just
I know why
what
True
he
Business
said.
doesn't trust atheists. The question is, when you make the claim, not you, but Gman, when you make the claim, and here's the specific claim he's made, atheists are the least trusted people on the planet, or alternatively, atheists are the most distrusted people on the planet. My question is, what is your source for that view? What informed you thusly? How did you come to that opinion? Like, did you discover it on your own, or is there some research you're referring to? And so he can say he's certainly welcome, to answer the question this way. Well, in my personal opinion, I don't trust atheists. To me, atheists are not really trustworthy people, and that's fine. That's a fine answer to that question. But he's saying the claim is atheists are the least trusted people on the planet. Has he interviewed everyone on the planet? Does he know anyone who's, for example, interviewed a significant sample of the people or subset of people on the planet? Is he making reference to that? And no, he's not. That's my position. So the veracity of whether or not atheists are or are not trustworthy, or are or are not trusted, that's not the issue. The issue is, when you make a claim, G-Man, what is the source for that claim? And he doesn't know. He never knows because he's clueless.
Okay. But it could be possible, the whole time, that he's looking through confirmation bias to look for the information that buys to his opinion.
Obviously.
Sure, and that's fine. That's fine, but then at least you have a source for it.
But that's the point I'm trying to get across. Is that, again, I'm not defending G-Man for the views he holds, because he holds views that are contrary to mine. I mean, some of my best friends are atheists. I live in Britain, where atheists are more prevalent. Sorry. And my best friends are atheists. I'm the only Christian person who's part of my friendship group in real life. So again, I know that what he's saying is wrong. But I think when you're a G-Man and you're in the mindset he has, he's going to try and find information that backs up his claims, and that's what I'm more or less defending. Is that if that's what he's looking for, that's all he's going to find.
And that's fine. Yeah, I don't have a problem with that. Like, I mean, if somebody wants to make a claim. And I say I don't even take like Tommy Hall to task, for example, when he does that. When you ask him something, and then he goes, "Oh, well, let me find a source," or "This is something that I read last week. Let me go find it for you. I'll bring it to you." And then you go, "Yeah, but there's 50 others that contradict that," or "I think you're misinterpreting it." But at least you're discussing a source. That's the difference. Right. So when you ask them a question like that, when you've asked them, "What was your source? Why do you think, Tommy, that vitamin D cures cancer?" He can say, "Oh, well, this is what educated me thusly," and then you can talk about that thing. But with G-Man and Arcane and those guys, you don't have that opportunity. They simply do not have sources for their batshit crazy opinions. That was my only point.
Okay.
So
it's about them sourcing their arguments to you. Is that the problem?
Well, I'm not even. Yeah, that is the issue. It's about what I'm saying. They just don't have sources. They believe everything each other say, and at the same time, they criticize atheists as being in this some sort of echo chamber where we just repeat things that we heard from other atheists. And my whole point is that it's hypocritical on their part to claim that's what atheists are doing, when not atheists for the most part are not doing that, and for the entirety they're all doing that. Again, not all Christians, but specifically the radical evangelical apologists, aka the clown car posse.
Okay, I understand, but I mean, if G-Man did give his sources out, I think he would say, "Oh, well, you stick it out of all this." I mean, I as I said, what he said his sources were in his hangout were, I believe it was, he said news sources, various news sources, and Google were the places to get sources. No, he didn't say exactly what on Google. He just said it was the. I mean, he said it was what he got when he googled U.S. Supreme Court or atheist thing. I think he said. I'm paraphrasing here.
Well, he's not done so. In any
Well,
case,
great. Then just put the link up. What's the big friggin' deal?
it's that he's got to come in.
Just put up the link. Look, Gary, you seem like a really nice guy, man, but I don't understand you wanting to defend this tit. I mean, the guy hasn't got enough brains to rub together. If he couldn't find his ass with both hands in his back pockets, I mean, and when you bring him into a conversation, you know, when you bring him into a conversation of substantive note, where you're required to prove what you have to say, rather than ever coming up and proving it, he gives you the dance of the green shoes over and over and over and over again. He wants you to do his work for him. And you know,
le clou sur la tête. That's
yeah, totally. And you know, so past a certain point, Gary, it's okay to sort of go, he's dumb. We can find somebody better to champion our cause. When the standard bearer insists on dragging the standard through the mud, it's time to find someone who can hold it up in the air, man.
Well, I don't know of anybody but his own tight little posse that would consider him a standard bearer for anything.
Which
hey,
is
Gary,
even worse.
I'm happy that there's finally a second Christian in the room. Please confirm for me. What does it say in the Book of Titus? What's the Book of Titus about?
Depends. About the Book of Titus. The Book of Titus is it's in certain Bibles. It's in certain.
Say what?
It depends which Bible you're talking about, because it's not in some. It's not in some. It's in the others. You're talking about the King James
in the
version.
ones that it's in. In the ones that it's not in, it's not about anything. In the
Okay,
ones that it's in, what's
if
it
you'd
about?
like me to be more specific, I'll be more specific.
Yeah,
okay.
cool.
Saint Paul's epistle to Titus. Okay, which is canonized universally in the Christian New Testament. What is it about?
Do I finally get to find
what
out?
What is in it?
Was it about?
Okay, never mind. I withdraw my objection. Apparently, Gman isn't. Apparently, this is in fact something Christians don't know. My mistake.
No, I do know it. I'm just trying to recognize the question because it's very clear what it's about.
Okay.
Oh, it's very clear. No, just say it. Just in a nutshell, what's
You're
going on?
Bible baiting him. Don't Bible bait him.
Well, in my personal view, it's about the struggle between Christians and getting destroyed. But hey, that's the way I interpret it.
It's the struggle between Christians and getting it destroyed, getting them destroyed.
As in getting wiped out.
Who did Paul write it to?
Book of Titus.
Yeah. Who did he write it to? Who's it addressed to?
People say it's addressed to. It was possibly addressed to numerous sources. Again, it depends which scholar you go with.
It's pretty universally understood to have been addressed to Titus. Who is Titus?
No, I mean we don't know who Titus is. That's what I'm saying.
Somebody smack at him.
Wow, this did not go well. That's
no, it did not.
I'm so disappointed by this. I'm so oh my goodness. If anybody, but you've read it. You can at least claim you've read it. Yeah.
Well, I've got my Bible here.
I had hoped. Yeah. Oh,
It's
well.
actually King James version, which actually has it in.
All right, well, folks, I got to take this off air. That's too bad. That really could have been a nice little bit of fireworks at the end to just have somebody say, "Oh, the Book of Titus." Yeah, it's not
Someone
really
tell me what the Book of Titus is about. I don't read.
Okay, the Book of Titus is one of a couple of epistles that Paul wrote near the end of his ministry, providing some instructions to the leaders of the churches that he was leaving in various parts of the world. He left Titus in Crete, and he was giving instructions to Titus as to how to deal with the eldership, how to work with various churches in that area. That's the answer to the question.
So what is the?
What's the point?
Yeah.
Okay, why it's relevant, and it's more administrative than administrative, as what's his name, Galloway would say, administrative, than anything else, and it's not really a sort of a glamorous like fireworks type of a book. The reason why it's relevant was because somebody just sent the link to Dreg in a hangout where Gus Belanger and Gman were in the same hangout. he'd asked G-Man, like, what about the Book of Titus? Why don't you just tell the story, Gus? But I got to take this off air because I got.
Yeah. Okay. No, that's fine.
Okay.
No, it's just that I accuse Gary being uneducated for a number of reasons. One of which was the fact that he had no biblical knowledge, and he said,
We're talking
well,
about Gary Moore, Gary, not you.
Oh,
No,
yes, sorry.
I'm
I'm sorry, Gary. Oh, I'm sorry, Gary. Hey, no, listen. I don't know you from Adam. I don't know your education level.
Hey, you know me.
I didn't mean you. I meant G-Man. I'm really sorry, okay? Like, that's not what I meant to... I can see your face over there. I know you don't really believe me, but honestly, I didn't mean to take
I suppose you talked about G-Man. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, okay.
My level of education is higher than G-Man's, I'm sure.
But I said, G-Man said, well, you know, how do you know that I'm... G-Man said, how do you know that I'm uneducated? And I said, okay, fine. What's in the Book of Titus, G-Man? And G-Man either couldn't or wouldn't answer me. And he said, why don't you ask me this question or that question or the other question? I said, yeah, I could ask from your cherry-picked Rolodex of prepared answers, or I could ask you a simple question that just about any basic biblical scholar or even someone who's read the Bible a couple of times would know. What's in the Book of Titus? And G-Man couldn't say what was in the Book of Titus. Adam can say what's in the Book of Titus. Deidre, my friend Deidre Meese, could say what's in the Book of Titus. But G-Man, who apparently knows the Bible better than any of us godless, hell-bound, moribund, reprobate, wretched, sinnerite types, he apparently doesn't know what's in the Book of Titus. So that was my point. It was essentially a tool to show that guy's biblical education can be written on the inside of a small matchbook with a large crayon.
Yeah. And it comes hand in hand. Sorry, I do have to end this hangout. So, my kids are starting to quite rightfully say, "Hey, look, you got to feed us." One of them just told me, "I'm hungry, and legally you have to feed me." I regret having taught him that phrase. I did it last year to sort of taunt his mom. I thought it was pretty funny, and now he throws it in my face. No, I mean, part of what's amusing about it too is that. If you, I've been caught out. I mean, people remember 3 months ago or so on the Magic Sandwich Show, I got caught out mixing up subcutaneous and intramusculars, SC versus IM needles, on vaccination. I mean, this is a pretty, like, I should know that, right? And yeah, there was a nurse on the panel that was just like, yeah, you don't know what you're talking about. And I was like, yeah, I think you're right. Because if you don't remember something from years ago, like I don't do that, right? So you don't remember stuff from years ago, you make mistakes. G-Man and these other guys, Arcane, True Empiricism's especially, yeah, True Empiricism.
Oh, he'll insult you for 30 minutes before he acknowledges fault.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, when you, I mean, there's a great moment there in that there's a chat on the when I keep referring to as the worst hangout on YouTube is on Fiona Robertson's channel. Called Just a Chat, where she and him are talking, and it's just like that hangout makes me want to punch the internet. Like it is so awful. I've listened to it about 4 times though because it's so ridiculous. But at one point, what was the word they were arguing over? And then she said, "Well, what do you mean? Oh, was it speculative or something like that, or conjecture?" She says, "Well, what do you mean when you say conjecture?" And he goes, "Well, you don't even know what conjecture means." Right? Like, if you ask them a question, if you go to clarify, like, how are you using this word? What do you mean by this? They'll be like, well, I knew you didn't know what that was. And that's Arcane's, True Empiricism's thing, is that you ask him a question to try to clarify what he's saying. He will turn that around as if, well, you don't know what this is. And it's like, no, because you're talking lunacy. You're not making any sense. And they're all like that. They can't simply say, "Oh, sorry, I don't remember. That was a long time ago." Or I've, when the Bible's pretty big. I really focus on the gospel. I haven't really, the epistles I'm a little weak on. They'll never say that. They'll just somehow they'll act like you're asking them some sort of a crazy gotcha question. So again, I want to wrap up on this point in that I know that J.D. Kane had come in here thinking, well, we got to be a little gentle. We got to be a little gentle with G-Man. I'm tired of being gentle with G-Man. Ask him a question. If he doesn't want to answer the question, then off he goes. I don't care if he can't answer the question. I don't need to nurse an answer out of him. That G-Man looked at it like these were gotcha questions, and that's the thing that's really, really amusing to me. Is that when you ask somebody, "Oh, really? What the Supreme Court? Where do you get that from?" They cannot, like a normal human being, answer that question in a sensible way. They can't say, "Well, I don't really remember where I heard that," Or I heard this from somebody and then I looked it up here. They have no recollection of that. All they hear is, oh, he's out to get me, he's out to get me. And they act like it's a gotcha question. It's a simple question. Just answer the question. And they will say anything and do anything to avoid that question. Because that sort of, I've used the example before, like that's the, facts or inquiry, anything like that, to them is like somebody with arachnophobia having a box of spiders dumped on their head. Like it just makes their skin crawl when you give them information or give them facts or you ask them questions to justify, like, well, where did you learn this? Oh, I'm interested in that. Where did you learn this? They just like, and it's all freaking creepy for them. So I was not inclined to give Gman a lot of time to rant on about a bunch of other stuff because I just asked him simply, what's your source? He was all paranoid and he flipped out and he simply couldn't answer those things. So any quick observations from people? I will be pulling the plug on this in under 2 minutes, so you have probably 20 seconds each if you want it.
Thanks for the hangout.
Yeah, it was fun and energizing. So yeah,
Great
I'm glad
fun.
I took a nap for it though beforehand.
It was good fun. Thanks for having me.
Sorry I yelled at G-Man. Just seeing grown men behave like children really annoys me. It annoys the shit. Like I said, my 4-year-old, you probably heard him 3 times during this entire event.
Yeah.
Well, I think G-Man's actual age, he says he's 39. Well, I think you have to move the decimal point over to the left once.
Yeah.
I think that, I mean, not that I don't appreciate the hangout. I mean, it was great, even without the audio part. It was hilarious to watch when I was external there. But G-Man's fragile. He's like a deer, and I mean, JD laid it out there as well too. Just you put him in a room and there's 9 people that he knows is going to disagree with him. He frightens easily and will tend to run off into traffic. So.
I will message him later to say like, hey, look, the thing is, I did invite him to come for the beginning of the hangout. He didn't seem to be able to do that. He had some problems and Trogdor this and whatever else. Okay, well that's too bad. If you want to have a hangout, then let's have a hangout. We can do it one-on-one. I've never had a problem talking with G-Man. I don't have any issues with him. Lately, it's been a problem because he's so rage-filled. He used to be able to sort of contain his rage. Lately, the rage just comes flying out of him all the time, and I just find him hard to talk to that way. But I get that it's terrible to walk into a hangout that people don't agree with you. But I couldn't be any more vicious with everybody else in the room and being like, okay, seriously, shut up and let the guy talk. And then you give him a chance to talk, and he would just go snaking off some other direction. So what are you going to do? If he wants to do a one-on-one, I'll happily do a one-on-one with him. But I'm not going to take his criticism that he couldn't do a one-on-one. He had all these other people in the room when he couldn't show up for the hangout that he was invited to, but instead wanted to come into something that was going on. Other people are having a conversation just to vandalize that conversation. I just have no sympathy for him. But that's the way he's going to be.
I'm gonna disagree with you on that last point because even as rage-filled as G-Man is, you'll notice that he can behave himself on the drunken peasants. So it's not it's a personal choice he's made to come in and vandalize hangouts. Yeah. And it all depends on how many views or how many, if it benefits him, he is damn sure able to behave himself. Yeah. So it is a personal choice he's made. But
sure enough, that's a good point. Yeah. All right. That's the end of that lull. No one else got anything? All right. Well, thanks, guys. Always lots of fun. I will leave it open for a few moments if you guys just want to hang around and chat. But to our live audience, I hope you're entertained and amused and informed in terms of what these guys say.
He can eat a dick. Honestly, I don't care. I mean, the place that I'm at in my life, I mean, I know we all bullshit and stuff like that, but it's like, what are you really doing to help society other than looking like a jackass? And that's what I've put across them several times. That you're not doing it. You're a fucking madman on the street with a bullhorn yelling at people.
I've seen his street preaching now with the bullhorn. It is loony.
I'm like an hour and a half away from him, so I'm like, do I really want to go and see him? Because I'm just going to yell out of my car and just laugh at him and take a picture of it or maybe a video. But no, it's like, you know what? I don't like to try and belittle people, but when somebody consistently shows me that they are full of shit and they are dishonest and that they are just so full of themselves that they can't see reality, then I'm going to shit on them. because it's like you really can't get through to them any other way. My cousin's sitting in that. Well, for those of you who didn't see
Is this
or
still?
hear my speech,
It's still live. I'm
yeah,
desperately
it's still
trying to
live.
interrupt Drag to
I
say.
think people didn't catch my little rant earlier, but my cousin's sitting in the hospital right now, bleeding out of his intestines because he has ulcerative colitis. And if you don't know what that is, go look it up. It's a pretty horrible disease. One of my motivations to be joining the field of biomedical research is to find a cure for this, because there's really not a cure. You can just manage it, but it still effectively reduces your lifespan. I've grown up with my cousin my entire life. He is my best friend, and it kills me to know that this disease will probably be taking him from me. So it's something that's very personal, and then personally motivates me to joining that field and researching a cure. So for somebody that's stupid to try and insult me and what I'm doing, I do take that a bit personally, because obtaining the grades in order to
I get
to that level,
I did say I told my kids I got to get some supper for them. So, like I say,
Oh,
I'm happy.
I can talk about that later. Yeah.
I think the banner statement is man can eat a dick. I don't even mean that as an insult, like you say. I don't even mean that as an insult. I think anyone who's in the mood to eat a dick should just whatever. Go ahead. Canadians, take lots of vitamin B tonight. Tomorrow's a work day, and you drank too much today. So take care, everybody.
Yep.
Oops. Oh, look what I just did. I'm going to hit this button.
Hi,
Where's
Tower.
the big red button? What big red button?